Godzilla won't come down here unless Kong brings him.
What else were we wrong about?
Something is coming.
The last time those two met up was almost the end of Kong.
He won't be alone.
You heard it up top. We are leaving Skull Island behind. We're leaving behind Manhattan, wherever that big lizard lives, because once again, these two kaiju are coming together, talking about Godzilla X Kong, the new empire, here on Normies Like Us with your hosts, Colinzilla. I don't know.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
Mike
Kong. Yeah, that works.
Sure.
Sure.
And this is Cobzilla.
Godzilla.
Rar, rar.
Godzillas.
You want to
Yep.
be the little monkey?
Oh, I do want to be it, but I forgot his name already. Even though you just said it 2 seconds ago off
No,
pod.
it's impossible.
Zuko.
Suko. Juko.
Of course I knew that.
Juko.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Junko.
We'll talk about it. So, yes, we have essentially, our DK and Bowser, as I joked, maybe a little Diddy Kong. And maybe Lanky
right.
Kong's going to show up, too. We'll cover all that when we get into this. But, up top, we're back in the legendary Monsterverse, And everybody knows I'm a big Godzilla fan. So this is something I was legally obligated to look forward to. So, but, how did you guys feel going into this?
Well, we certainly talked about him recently, Mike, although I don't believe we did a full episode on -1, correct?
No.
No.
Our year-end recaps, that was my favorite film of 2023. Like, I love Godzilla. I have here
Wow.
a Godzilla versus Megalon poster, which is widely regarded to be one of the worst in the entire franchise. So, I'm primed for this.
Megalon kind of looking like a scrub there, dog. I don't know. He did not look like one of my favorites there.
He's an
But
underwater
that's a cool
bug.
poster.
Gigon is really cool. He has sickle hands, so there's one good thing. A jet jaguar, if you're familiar in that one. So I'm not no stranger to campy Godzilla, although -1 is like I thought legit cinema, won an Oscar, which pioneering the suitmation and the miniatures and all the work the franchise has done. It's kind of the whole franchise has had a special effects impact. So anyway, that's a tangent. A lot of special effects in this. A lot of our Hollow World CG in this whole series. So.
Have you seen every Godzilla movie ever made?
It's a good question. I have not. I've seen over half.
Like 80.
There's like
80.
35 or something.
35, Sure.
I think there's like 40
It's like the
something.
same number of Bond movies as Godzilla movies, basically.
Yeah. Like I haven't seen the one where he fights a pollution monster Hedorah. Like I haven't seen Ebirah. He just fights a giant shrimp. There's a couple that I've missed here and there, but I've seen,
I've seen Kill All
the
Monsters
staples.
and all
Yeah, I've
those,
seen Final Wars. I watched GMK. Invasion Monster X. It has like 3 titles where they take Godzilla to space to fight Ghidorah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Space Godzilla, Biolante,
It's
all
like the
that.
Moonraker of Godzilla.
Violante, the coolest. Well, Jacob,
That's
our
what I
next
wanted for
long-form
this.
series. We're gonna do 3 years of Godzilla.
Oh my God.
films, right?
I would be so
I
happy.
can't I'm only here for 1998.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
You
The only
know
reason I'm
how
here.
I feel about that.
Matthew
You
Broderick.
know how I feel about that.
That's a lot of fish.
Come on.
But yeah, I love Godzilla. I watched the Monarch series, which again, I'll talk
She's
about in the
pregnant.
episode.
That's right.
Yeah. A lot of tie-ins. But how about you guys?
For me,
Godzilla
first of
barometer
all,
or Kong barometer?
yeah. Well, first
True.
of all, I in preparation for this movie, I rewatched Godzilla versus Kong.
Impossible.
Yes.
It really struck me. It's the first time I've seen it since we talked about it 2 years ago, I want to say.
Sure.
And yeah, it's really striking how that movie just all the momentum stops in that movie every time they cut to Millie Bobby Brown and Brian Tyree Henry running through some facilities and stuff. But of course, Mike, you have your special cut.
Yes.
That you were telling me about. Yeah.
Yeah, famously, I hated their subplot so much that I downloaded and did a fan edit that I titled, What If No Belsnickel? Because the actor that plays Belsnickel in the Kurt Russell Santa movies in there. And it cuts their entire subplot. The entire subplot is gone.
knows?
They don't dump whiskey on a computer, none of that dumb stuff. And it's like an hour and
Right.
15 minutes. And it's incredible. And it's very Kong focused, which is interesting because this movie is
Yes.
very Kong focused too. So he's definitely,
Well,
when I
that's
watch my cut in this, he's the protagonist of these now. It feels
Jacob,
like.
he's the
And that's
young
what I wanted to
Maori
talk
boy.
about.
What's that boy's name?
the who?
The
Oh,
young
the
Maori
Belsnickel.
boy from the Taika Waititi film.
Oh yeah, just the friend of Millie Bobby Brown.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
forget
yeah.
his name.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I'll
those
find it.
characters,
He does not need to
like
be
you
in
said,
that
if
movie.
you
Mike is
cut
correct.
those characters do nothing that isn't accomplished by like other characters. Like you can streamline their subplot to just the evil guys doing the Mechagodzilla thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I rewatched that movie, and it is very Kong centric, and this movie is very Kong centric, and I like that because my hot take, I like Godzilla a lot, but for at least the legendary movies, I prefer Kong over Godzilla. Colin, like you said, Skull Island is the best out of all these legendary movies that's been made so far. And I just like Kong better as a character. I mean, he gets more screen time in both these movies. Godzilla is more of a supporting character.
Yeah, he's becoming a character, right? He's going
Mhm.
through a Mon character arc, wink wink.
Nice.
It's interesting to see that. And yeah, I would say Skull Island is just the only film that has something interesting to say where it's like, what if we put a post-war Vietnam, fucking Francis Ford Coppola meets Miyazaki filter on a King Kong movie. Like that's a take. Like Adam
Right.
Wingard, I really wonder what kind of take he has on these films, but
Yeah.
I don't know. But Jacob, how do
Yeah.
you feel about Peter Jackson's? Have you ever said?
Well, that's what so I wanted to mention because I'm such a big Kong
Okay.
fan. I don't know why, but I really like King Kong movies, and I really like
You've got
Peter
Monkey
Jackson.
Madness that might help coming up for our podcast.
This is
Yeah.
a great way to start April.
Yes.
April Fool's Day.
Because I'm a
We're
fool for these
here.
apes. It's monkey business now, baby.
That's right.
That's right.
No
So I'm
more
excited.
monkey business. Let's get down to monkey business.
That's
Yeah.
right. I don't want to get too in the weeds because I want to talk about the King Kong that Peter Jackson did too. Like I'm with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
and
think
being a
that
fan of
movie, it's underappreciated. People, for some reason, didn't like it that much. Some people think it's too long and stuff.
It is too long.
And I think it has some problems. I think
It
the
is
third
too
act,
long,
when they get to
yeah.
New York, it does go on a little too long. But everything on the island, I really liked. And then Skull Island, I also really liked. So
I also think Naomi Watts is being told she's acting in like a silent movie. Like, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? I think she's kind of.
I
giving
love
a
the
performance that's like,
periodness of
oh,
that.
gee, gosh, Willie. Yeah.
You're talking
Well, that's
about,
Kyle
the
Chandler
70s
again,
was-
right?
Yeah, Kyle
Yeah.
Chandler's in it, just like he's in the Godzilla
That's
movies.
right. Commissioner
um,
Chandler.
Skull
Mhm.
Island is very 70s period. This is very 1920s
30s
silent
-ish,
film
yeah.
era. You got Jack Black, Adrian Brody, great cast, a lot of fun. And I just like Kong, so
Did you
he's
ever
a
see
big
the
monkey.
Jeff Bridges one?
No, I haven't
Dino
seen
De
that,
Laurentiis one.
or
That's
really the
that's
original.
a crazy movie, dude.
Yeah.
I
The
really
80s one,
recommend
right?
checking out the Jessica,
Jessica Lange,
80s
right?
one. It's
Yeah,
so
I love Jessica
crazy,
Lange
dude.
from American Horror Story.
Yeah, well, I've waxed poetic about Godzilla, and how much I like that thing. But, Kong is an American invention. Like, the character of Kong is American. It came out even before Godzilla. So when we talk about Godzilla being the longest running character, he's just been more continuously around. Kong has a lot of big gaps in his resume. Yeah.
So totally, there's been way more Godzilla movies, and I think there's been a lot more said about Godzilla in terms of, even with minus one this year, did Godzilla a lot better than these legendary movies. So like at least these legendary movies have Kong as something original that they can sort of focus on.
And we should be, I think, on the state side. We focus on what we do best, and that is probably monkey, right?
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
big
but
monkey.
we gotta one up -1. We gotta do like Kong times 6, or like we gotta
Kong
figure
squared.
out what's our method. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it should be. It should be called Kong
Thank you.
squared.
But so
Yeah.
I rewatched that movie. I didn't rewatch any of the other legendary Godzilla movies or anything, but I rewatched that, and then I watched this movie last night in the theater, and that was a lot of fun. So
Wow.
I'm excited to talk about
Yeah.
it. Yeah, big Kong fan and Godzilla fan.
So,
Wow.
Kong or Godzilla, Colin? Where do you land on this?
I also unfortunately go Kong. I guess that sucks.
Team
that
Kong.
yeah, but just for
Monkey,
these movies,
America.
I prefer
DK.
Godzilla films. I've said
Yeah.
1998's my favorite of if we're choosing any of these things, and I know that that's unfortunate,
Wow.
but I'm a product of my generation. So,
Incredible.
There's some
But I
great
do like that,
Burger King Taco Bell tie-ins for that. You know, the little
it's,
Chihuahua.
well,
that's right.
yes. And speaking of burger tie-ins, I do like that American Godzilla is just like a big fat guy that loves burgers. Basically, I think that really represents America well.
They put him with
Mhm.
pizza on this too. But here's my last note. I have a
Mhm.
gripe real quick. Speaking of burger, everywhere in the world got a special at Carl's Jr. or Hardee's a Godzilla and Kong burger. It was released in South America, North America, Asia,
Right.
Canada, Mexico,
too, right?
but not in America. And I'm very upset.
What the hell? Burgers
hell?
are like our whole thing.
We deserve to be the
We're
fattest.
America. We love burgers.
We're so committed to it. Why will you not give us the Kong burger and the Godzilla burger? It's a
You can
disgrace.
make so much money.
Seriously.
You know, I would
The
go out and
fucking
buy a Kong burger
Deep
right
fried
now.
Mothra onion rings. Oh no!
Oh,
Oh,
man,
no.
yes. Mozzarella sticks.
It's made with real moth.
That's good.
Mozzarella sticks.
Well, because in
Oh,
Japanese it's
no.
masura, so you have the mozzarella
Yeah.
sticks. It works really good.
Mothra.
Yep. All
I
right.
think
Well,
there's
you
some
know.
scar fries or something. too.
Oh
That's
man,
right.
Scarly fries.
The
Oh, we're
Scar-
out here.
What Scar Burger King for this meal, right?
Scar Burger King, dude. Sign us up. We have great ideas. But yeah, we like to get this Kong squared away and talk episode proper. Godzilla X Kong, New Empire. Right after this.
We're back here on Normies Like Us, where we're talking an epic showdown. Like Mike said, we're heading to Hollow Earth. We're talking Godzilla X Kong, Colin, the New Empire. A totally normal title. Let's start there as we
Well,
do talk about the
Yeah,
title.
yeah.
Here's my
Please.
problem, right?
Sure.
The New Empire. You have Ghostbusters, the Frozen Empire right now.
Super
And
fun.
then-
Too many empires.
Well,
Yeah,
we're
right,
also
not
getting
really.
a Kingdom of Planet of the Apes.
That's
so
right.
There's a
Oh,
lot
yeah,
of
sure.
Empire Strikes
monarchies.
Back.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
It's the
that's
new
so funny.
rises. That's interesting. Empires are the new rises.
The new
just
Frozen
like
Empire
a-
Strikes Back. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a word that you can throw in there, kingdom or empire, to make it sound cool.
What is
like
the
Rising.
Empire in this film?
I
it's
guess
the-
the underground gorilla empire.
Yeah, The Hollow Earth Empire. So,
You know,
That's fair.
yeah, full spoilers for the MonsterVerse,
Yes.
Godzilla X Kong fanfic, New Empire, Two Worlds, One Family.
Of which, real quick, this is the 5th entry. We said it's an Adam Wingard
Wow.
film. Now, this is his 2nd
Mhm.
entry. He did the last one, of course, Godzilla versus. Let's get that X out of there. Let's put that VS back in.
they're friends
Versus
now.
Kong. A little more traditional. Jacob's right. Now they're buddies.
it's like a collab.
Um,
It's like a rap collab, you know. X.
Oh, dang, you're right.
He's sampled on
Godzilla
this
X
album.
Kong.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
Of course, that is 5 movies and 1 now Apple TV show dropped in, of which Mike has kind of said on a few watches he absorbed. Jacob, did you ever end up?
No.
No, me neither.
Anna
That's
Sawai.
fine.
I might watch just for her.
Well, that's
Well,
the thing.
We could touch on that real quick because of the Shogun, and we do have like a connection in this franchise with that. But another interesting connection we have is that one of the writers is Terry Rossio, which
Yes.
pirates, baby. Like, what is going on
Pirates.
here?
Been running wild on this
Yeah.
boy.
So there's a
Wow,
lot of
wow,
weird
wow.
connections here in the
Yeah.
Hollow Earth and what's been going on.
Of course, Adam Wingard, director of our favorite Netflix anime adaptation film, Death Note.
That's right.
Oh, he did that. Oh,
Yeah.
that explains a lot.
He's your favorite
Um,
director, Mike.
Yeah, he's not a
Yeah,
great director.
It's absolutely my
say.
favorite.
Well, here's the thing. I guess, and just as a little hint of first impressions, there's
Mm.
not a ton I want to talk about in this movie. Actually, as far as like the actual substance.
Oh,
of the
I want to
film.
talk about every second of it.
I would
Yeah.
love to hear that, and I would have to imagine post us just doing what I think was a 2-hour and 45-minute Pirates of the Caribbean #5 film episode. I
That's
think
right.
this might be
that
a
was-
little bit shorter.
Yeah, this should be shorter, but the Pirates, to be fair, was like it's a therapy group session.
That was,
We
that
had
was
to
a
work through.
culmination too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
But the
yeah.
thing that I want that interests me the most about this movie is the Adam Wingard of it all. And
Mhm.
just to kind of sum up real quick who he is and the cursory interest that I had in this guy, when we were in college, we went to film school. Jake and I went to film school together. We would sit around and like try to watch like modern stuff. And we would have modern discussions of like who are the now people who are going to end up being like the Spielbergs, the Scorseses of these generations, right? Everybody had their own choices, you know, however you leaned. The people I would defend, I was obsessed with the horror film VHS, which was an
Mm.
Sure.
anthology series that I'm sure
Yes.
you guys are familiar with, right?
Yes.
Now, every person who had an entry on that film is Radio Silence, the people who go on to run the Scream franchise, correct?
Mhm.
Right.
Ty West, who goes on to do X and this entire Pearl weird thing that he's doing
Yeah.
now, right?
A lot of
And-
good young horror directors.
Yes.
The
that
Mia
are
Goth
just
cinematic
starting
universe.
out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other people on it were Joe Swanberg, the head of like the Mumblecore movement, a guy who's
Yes,
kind of
yes.
like disappeared now, but for a while kind of ran the world of indie filmmaking. And
Right.
kind of got taken over by the Duplass brothers,
Well,
essentially.
and Greta
It's sort of like-
Gerwig came out of the Mumblecore
Yes,
movement as
totally
well.
right. Yes. And the last one was Adam Wingard and Simon Barrett. Adam Wingard was a director. He had his screenwriting partner, Simon Barrett, a guy who wrote this movie, Godzilla X
Mhm.
Kong. We're going to talk about today. Someone he's worked with on every one of his films. And Adam Wingard wasn't the guy I leaned towards. I was a Ty West guy. I was
Mhm.
so sure that he was going to literally go on. I was just so into the House of the Devil and the Innkeepers
Yes, yes.
and they just
Good
like
movies.
blew my mind. And none of those people have gone on to have the career that I wanted them to.
Right.
And maybe Ty West is the one where I feel him making the movies that feel like him. But I watch this film, and I mean, I'll be honest with you, Death Note feels more like an Adam Wingard movie than this movie does, I guess. Like, I don't know, guys.
I'm with you, Colin. I came out of this not feeling super great, and I think there's reason. There's stuff to talk. Like there's like a quality
Yes.
of, to me, so bad it's good at points, but it's definitely an incompetent piece of filmmaking, especially compared to Minus One.
Interesting.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
you can never do that. But even comparing it to Skull Island, let's say, it's a far away.
Yeah.
It's away. Yeah.
I will say, I sort of agree with you guys, but I sort of have a different opinion that
It's fine.
I kind of like this movie because is it a good movie? Maybe not, and I think that Adam Wingard kind of gets swallowed up by the franchise-ness of it all, right?
Mhm.
Because it is such a franchise movie. But having just seen Godzilla v Kong or versus Kong, I do think it's better. It's a lot better than that movie, in my opinion. It fixes a lot of the issues that I had with the first movie, or that movie. And so if you look at it that way, I think it is better than that movie. It's not as good as
Mike and I are
Minus
coming
One,
up
obviously.
high off of his illegal cut that
I'm
he made.
so ready.
Maybe
different
Mike's cut
experience,
is better,
yeah.
but
Well,
think
yeah, no, I
a lot
hear
of
you.
criticisms I had of that movie, they pared down the human character story in this.
Mhm.
They removed
They
a
just
lot of
turned
the
into voiceover, Jacob.
yeah, but they only brought back like 3 actors from the last one.
There's only one subplot with the human characters. There's not two.
they really
concurring-
focused it with
Yeah.
Rebecca Hall and the little deaf girl being sort of the emotional
Yeah.
core of the human side. You don't need Millie Bobby Brown. You don't need all these different characters. Focus on Godzilla versus Kong. That's what we want to see, right? So from
Yeah.
that angle of it, I enjoyed watching this movie. I wouldn't say it's a good movie, but it might be the second best legendary movie of all these. I have to rewatch, Godzilla and Godzilla King of All Monsters and all that.
So
But
hand
I
on my
don't think
heart.
Gareth Edwards a good director. I don't think
I didn't like the first Godzilla, the legendary Godzilla, that much.
no, the guy who does Trick or Treat, who does King
Yes.
of Monsters, I think that's bad. Like I think that's just
That's
a
one I
bad
need to
movie.
rewatch because I barely remember it.
Okay, so
yeah.
yeah, hand on heart. I rewatched King of Monsters after this. I rewatched my cut before, and like I fixed all the problems I had with that. So what remains, I prefer. Like the action scenes, I prefer. Like the Hong Kong set piece is so visually striking. There's just nothing
Yeah.
that really has that look to it here. So I
Right.
think the action's not quite there for me. But I agree that if Millie Bobby Brown is in it, this is better than the
I think
previous
this
entry.
also has a better storyline, a more interesting storyline. They sort of go on an adventure in the Hollow Earth. It's kind of more
Journey to
exciting
the
than
center
what
of the
was
earth.
happening. Yeah, and again,
Yeah.
to compare -1, it's very unfortunate for that to come out a few months after that, because obviously -1 blows it out of the water. So there's no comparing that. But I think for these legendary movies, I did enjoy it. I wouldn't say it's like a good movie though.
No, and I just want to show again. Here is a steel tin of the original King Kong. I have the original. Came with a recreation of the 1933 playbill for the premiere at the Chinese Theater.
Oh my god!
So I like King Kong as well a lot. And
I should have looked, because I have the DVD box set of the Peter Jackson King Kong somewhere.
Box set.
Fair.
Yeah, because it was like such a long movie. It came on like 3 DVDs or something.
That's one I need to. I have that too. I need to do a fan edit of that, I think. But let's mention that real quick, because I think the CG in that is better than the CG here. And there's a lot of CG because it's Kong's story. Like, we spend a lot of time with just him and a bunch of other CG monkeys, but apes. Sorry, but it doesn't hold up as much as Peter Jackson's. Yeah.
No, I agree with that. Like the Peter Jackson movie is better, and I think Kong Skull Island is better. Like, those are better movies. But this did really feel like we're starting our series already of Planet of the Apes, because there's so many ape characters going on in relationships.
Well, there's a movie in the 70s called Beneath the Planet of the Apes. We kind of got this one anyway.
That's the best
I'm excited
one.
for it.
I'm excited for us to get there.
Yeah.
Look, this has a diversity. I mean, this has so many creatures in it. That's what I really think is a cool strength of this.
Yeah.
Godzilla kills 5 kaijus at different points in this movie. That I'm
that
like,
part, I did like.
Look, that's crazy.
Well,
now,
just
do
as
they
a
always
world,
look good, Mike? No, not particularly.
Not as far as like realistic fidelity, but the world is it's cool. Like, it's the bright colors, and I do like the creatures. I kind of built the ecology of the Hollow Earth. We see some creatures from the previous movie, and it's like, oh, this is how like a larger group of them would, like, they have babies, and like you kind of learn about like the flora and fauna a little bit, how it works, which is cool.
Absolutely. Just this whole world building of this Titanverse is actually pretty interesting, even if I think the plot of this movie is like complete nonsense, right? But it was fun to watch.
You think when Brian Tyree Henry is saying, well, we've only got, the woman says we've only got,
it's all about gravity.
30 seconds on the crystals.
Yeah.
These crystals are going to collide.
Another movie in a row that is all about crystals in a nonsense plot, by the way.
True. Can I, I need to mention this because my cut removed that whole subplot. And this character, I can't remember the character's name, but I call him Whiskey Suicide. Because the reason they defeat... Yeah, but he's Whiskey Suicide because he's going to drink his suicide whiskey, and they try to take it out of his hands. It spills on the computer, and that's how Mechagodzilla is destroyed.
Oh.
Right.
That's canon.
I remember that.
So great. I am so upset that they made him such an important character. Yeah, Bernie. He's such a central character. No. Because it undoes all of my work removing him. Now I can't continue. How do I remove him?
No,
I'm
Mike,
stuck.
It's okay, because
he's better in this, but
just imagine that he's a new character introduced in this movie.
A brand new character.
His
plot is that he wants to be a hero like the last film, though.
I just remove any line where they mention that he did shit before. He doesn't know Rebecca Hall.
Hey, mate.
Literally,
listen here. You think that's a good idea, mate? Pointing a camera at these people, mate? They're indigenous, mate. You gotta respect them.
Come on, mate. Anyway,
Rebecca
go ahead,
Hall
Jacob.
And Brian Tyree Henry do not meet in the last movie. So nothing that he did matters in the, like, they're all in the end scene, but they don't have a scene together.
I'm from that battle. Oh, I guess I didn't
recognize. I guess they meet off camera after the movie ends, basically. But if you remember, like, those groups never interact in the entire movie. So so it is interesting that they just brought him back. They brought Rebecca Hall back and the little deaf girl, which makes sense. Alexander Skarsgård, sorry, you're out. We got a different generic handsome white guy in here.
And I was
Dan
okay
Stevens.
with Dr. Lind, Alexander Skarsgård. I wouldn't mind having him come back, but he doesn't want to do this.
Over Trapper?
No, I like Trapper.
Oh man, I guess so. So
Dan Stevens, who worked with Adam Wingard in The Guest. Did you guys ever see The Guest?
No, I have not. But okay.
I would call a good movie, actually. A film I would say worth.
I haven't seen that, but I've heard of it. I know, like, because like you said, Adam Wingard, you got to start in horror. You're Next, the Blair Witch
You're Next
remake.
Starring Ty West. That's like how intertwined all these people were in each other's lives. Jacob, in college, I was so obsessed with these people.
His career started out pretty promisingly with these horror movies, and then turned into Death Note and then these movies. So I'm not sure what happened.
Even
He just
Death
sold
Note, I
out
was
to the
like, that's
franchises.
crazy. I kept telling people, I was like, I don't know, it's crazy though, and it's just
Yeah.
it's so bad. But Adam Wingard is the anchor point, or I'm sorry, Dan Stevens is the anchor point for Adam Wingard to have his weirdness and personality in this. I think he's the only thing interesting, and I do think he is playing Austin Powers essentially, which is kind of like the weirdest choice available. But
Well, I like that he's not just like a generic white guy lead character hero guy,
Yes.
which I feel like as much as I like Alexander Skarsgård as an actor, that was kind of his role in the last one.
what if I was Star-Lord?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like he's having fun with it. He's like
Sure.
he's a Titan veterinarian,
Yeah.
right?
We gotta get that tooth out, mate.
Kong's got a toothache. He's hurt his little
Yeah.
tooth.
What about Project Finger Blaster?
Finger bang? Yeah.
Oh, we just happen to have this mechanical
We'll
glove.
get
thing.
there.
We'll get to
But-
that.
Well, you'd
So
assume
here's-
they have a whole exosuit for him. That's what I
Yeah.
kept thinking. I was like, the final scene, he'll put the whole thing on.
Right.
Get away from her, you
No.
bitch. Yeah.
Yes, Mike, I was ready for it, dude. Fucking grab Scar King
Mecha
by the
Kong.
fucking throat. Yeah.
Yeah,
King
so
Kong
the
or
plot of
whatever.
this movie, right?
Yeah.
For everybody out there, right? It's very simple. Kong is looking for his people. He comes across the Scar King. He wants to fight the Scar King. He can't, and then he gets Godzilla to help him. Like everything else we
Yeah.
talk about will be a function of that, just to get it
Well,
out
there's
of the way.
a
Now you
whole-
know about Scar King.
The whole plot with the natives of Hollow Earth being.
Yeah, but that takes
like,
place in 15
They will.
minutes. They really
Yeah.
speed run that. So yeah.
But if you remember where we left off from the last movie, Kong and Godzilla, two alpha titans. You can't have two alphas coexist because one of them's got to bow down to the other, right? But where we left
Not
off
in my
is that,
Planet Fitness.
Kong went down to Hollow Earth, which is where he
her.
came from.
Mhm.
Home.
Who? Oh, I'm sorry. I think you just said where we came from. I was like,
Where we came
Jacob,
from, yeah.
I was about to lose
Well,
it. These
some-
films, Mike,
Some
these
tribes can
films
be
are
traced
already,
to the
like,
Hollow Earth, Colin.
Maybe all humans came from Hollow
All?
Earth originally.
I watch these movies and all the language is so precarious and dangerous to me where I'm like, all of this stuff, when
The
Rebecca's
indigenous
like,
tribes of
we found the
Hollow Earth.
truth, the true history of the Hollow Earth, where I'm like,
Mhm.
Rebecca Hall, watch what you are saying, girl. It is so dangerously close
Well,
to something
yeah.
Yes.
horrifying.
I
It's
do
very
love the Hollow
conspiracy.
Earthness of it all. Like that, it's so wacky and sci-fi for like Hollow Earth to be a big part of these movies that I kind of like it just because it is so zany and like,
I think
makes
it's
no
Terry
sense.
Rossio. I think it's
Yeah.
a very smart cinematic choice to go. People got very horrified by continuously seeing these things destroy cities. Let's put them in a place where they can duke it out. That's like a neutral Mortal Kombat stage.
Mhm.
Like they can
Right,
just
where there's
do
this
whatever
giant.
down there.
Every animal is just like 100 times its normal size, and there's all these weird species and plants and animals and everything down there.
It
That
is
being
a
said, there is a
throwback.
lot of collateral damage in this movie as well in cities and things.
Oh, so many people died in Hong Kong. At one
Yeah.
point, somebody
Dog.
says the last time they fought, it was almost the end of Kong, and I'm like, why didn't they say it was almost the end of Hong Kong? There's a lot of missed opportunities here, and we're going to talk about those. I have a couple written down, but that's the first one
Yeah.
that I noticed.
That's a great line, Mike. That
Thank you.
should have been
Well, and-
added.
and
That's really-
Terry, call me. Yeah.
Terry.
Godzilla being a more of a protector of the human race in these movies versus the villain that he is in -1. Like he's usually a bad guy. Sometimes he's more of a protector fighting other titans. In this one, they're like, yeah, Godzilla's got our back now. He basically fights all the other titans
He is
for
a
us.
dog that we unleash on other monsters.
Yes, yes. He's our
Yeah.
dog, and he fucks shit up, and then he goes to bed. And
But I
it's
just
like,
wish he would
okay.
cause less
the Coliseum.
collateral damage when he did that. Yeah, he takes
Yeah,
a
he
little
doesn't
nap in the
care.
You're
Roman
in
Coliseum.
Rome. You're just like, please leave. Every
These
day
are
I wake
ancient
up
artifacts.
horrified.
Yeah,
I thought
He's
that's his
smashing.
Roman Empire, okay? That is all we
The
think
pyra-
about.
They smashed the pyramids in this movie.
Godzilla's been destroying World Heritage sites his entire career, to be fair. So
Please, Godzilla.
nothing new.
Just try to be a little more
Godzilla.
careful. Your
We're
surroundings.
preserving
believe.
these.
What is so scared that you?
My history is billions of years. What does your 300-year-old building mean to me, right?
Right.
He does that '90s joke where he pushes up the Leaning Tower of Pisa as he leaves, and they're like,
He should have.
"No."
He should have.
That would be amazing.
But yeah, I feel like this movie, because it's like almost a Marvel thing. Like we're talking about Adam Wingard. Like I don't know, it just feels like the studio has here's a list of action scenes. We've been working on them for 6 months. Figure
Yeah.
out how to make that
I mean,
happen.
again, He writes these, Mike. He got the story credit with his guy Simon Barrett. They wrote these. It's Terry Rossio's first credit. That's awesome. Then it's Simon Barrett. Then it's Adam Wingard.
Wow.
I think you're right. I think it is studio dictation. But at the end of the day, I'm also like, I don't know. This is the stuff you're choosing to show. It's so interesting. What era do you think he's the most inspired by? Do you have a take on this is like the goofy stuff, or?
I think 100% this is Showa era inspired, where it was campy. Like Godzilla was the protector of the people. Godzilla versus Megalon, he's teaming up with other monsters, all the time.
Right. I love that.
And it's for kids. Like, this is for kids, and there were kids at my screening, and I'm trying to look at it at that. Like he's making a children's cartoon essentially.
Yeah, there's no deeper message like in -1, or deeper themes about post-war Japan or anything like that, but it is really the MCU-ification of Godzilla, these legendary movies. But I think he was inspired by like the 70s sci-fi, like you said, Journey to the Center of Earth, kind of like wacky, even the color scheme, like the neon pinks and blues and everything, like it just feels very 70s sci-fi kind of.
And even to throw back to the 1933 King Kong, like it's of that era of like weird black and white adventure films of like, we went to the mysterious island and shit was crazy. Like, it's like, yeah, okay, sure. Like, we have a weird craft that we take, and it's like, it is very much like that in our time, I guess. It's just not charming because we don't have a transatlantic accent anymore.
Right. It's not
maybe
as
that's
good
what
as
it
Peter
is,
Jackson.
honestly.
Yeah.
Peter Jackson was kind of that too, but that's a better movie, of course. But it's really just a way of getting these action scenes. Basically, you have action scenes and you have the connecting tissue in between, which is all the human stuff. And
and
what I like about
like Colin said, it's exposition. The humans are exposition 90% of the time.
But again, they really pared down the human characters.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically like 4 characters, which is Rebecca Hall, Brian Tyree Henry, Dan Stevens, little deaf girl, I'm sorry, I forget her name.
And Trapper.
Trapper, yeah.
Jacob, you probably don't recognize me on this podcast because I cut my hair and it is blonde now.
Yeah.
Just says that. It's a line
I got
in
a
this
little
movie.
pixie cut, yeah.
You probably don't notice I've changed as a character.
Again, those characters did not interact in the last movie.
I'm like, what are you who are you? You don't have a character. And I would feel okay with the streamlinification, Jacob, you talking about this reduction of human roles. Look, again, I'm so sorry to keep weighing it to this. To Mike's point of coming off Godzilla -1, where it is the best human stuff you could possibly put in a kaiju movie, like bar none, without a doubt, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would feel fine with this being pared down, not even if it was 1/10 of what you get in -1. The fact that it is 0.00001%, like they don't have the confidence. The voiceover stuff where she goes, okay, I'm reading this tablet, and there's just, let me tell you guys about this whole fight that's going on. So Shimu's out there, and Shimu's like caught, and it's like super sad. And Shimu's being tortured by the pain, and the Scar King's doing this. And I'm just
and
like,
he's gonna come back out.
Well,
and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? You want to say to Rebecca Hall, like, shut the fuck up. Are you saying it says Scar King on there? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
She's reading these like ancient
Scar
hieroglyphics, these cave paintings of these indigenous people, and she's saying, yes, this one's called the Scar King. It says that on that wall.
She knows there.
And I'm seeing here that actually he was the cause of the first ice age, and that's the whole bloop 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 bloop. What the fuck are you talking about?
That's the scene I take most issue with, because it is just like, here's everything that's happening, and then it's like, and we need a Iwi girl who was raised on Skull Island specifically, and it's like
she's having dreams, she's having psychic visions, and the tablet tells me that too, that she's having psychic visions, and Kong's looking for his family, and Shiba's down here being tortured, and we met Shoujo, and Shoujo's having his own adventure, and the tablet says that, and Godzilla's upstairs, and Godzilla's getting more radiation, and they're all gonna come down, and we better look out for the crystals. And the tablet says all of this. Thank you.
Yep.
And of course, and then you have Bernie explaining all this gravity stuff. Well, if the 2 pyramids of crystals combine, then the gravity changes.
Society.
Yeah.
All right. So we hate the humans, as we do in every Godzilla or Kong outing generally.
It's just embarrassing, honestly.
It is embarrassing. So maybe I need to take a crack at this one too. But I think we say show don't tell, and the humans are 100% tell. But on the Kong side, it's 100% show, and they do a good job with Kong and his stuff. I gotta give them credit. Like, there's no dialogue, and I'm understanding the Kong story much more clearly than I do the humans telling me everything.
Yeah.
Mike,
Well,
the
that's what
scene
we're
where
here
he
for,
clearly learned, he was paying attention in the Vietnam War, and he's using traps on monsters and stuff.
Yo,
and it's like
I love
silent. I was
that.
like, this is great. I love all of this.
The
Yeah.
decision to make Kong basically like intelligent, right? Because usually these giant kaijus, you know, they're not super intelligent. Like they're animals, right? Godzilla, he has an intelligence, but he's not like a human. Like he can't communicate with
They
us.
just
You're
show
not
generally.
going
up.
to teach him sign language, right?
Yeah,
He's
no.
instinct,
Peter
not
Jackson
intellect.
King Kong or the traditional King Kong, he's not smart enough to learn sign language. This Kong is like using tools and
He's
sign
an
language.
introspective.
Yeah,
God, I fucking forgot he had Mjolnir, and when he whipped that thing out in this, I was like, son of a
yes,
bitch.
I
That's
love
when
it.
this movie really works.
And it
for
can
me.
charge up with Godzilla can charge it up with his nuclear blast, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's great.
Which is very cool.
And then Scar has his own little whip
Dog.
knife thing.
But I thought it was super unique and cool. And then even hearing the voiceover that they're torturing Shimu because of this way, and we've seen the
I didn't
monkey
understand
people
any of that, how he was
Take up
controlling him.
fucking nonsense.
Through pain.
They're showing these
Right, of course.
tools of like, look, they have these things that unveil Shimu in it. This whole complex ape society. You're like, I can't wait to see the torture device of how they do it. When it's revealed that the little crystal at the end of his whip, he just like
points
holds
it.
it and just squeezes it and like points
Yeah.
it. What is that doing? What are you what is that? That
I
is
have no
nonsense.
idea.
I think he's thinking the word excrucio when he points it.
Yes, he's doing
Yeah.
a
He's
curse.
doing Avada
spell,
Kedavra.
Mike. He's doing
Yeah.
one of the horrible curses. You're right.
Somehow this crystal knife thing, he can control Shimu with it. He can point it and like command it to go. I think, is it like part of Shimu that
It
was,
it
like
seems
one of
to be
his
implied.
scales or something?
Yeah,
that
that it
ripped out?
needs to go back into it. Again, it's almost kind of like the meteorite at the end of the last pirate films we did. But I loved the whip weapon of it, like you're saying. The fact that it was
Yes.
two weird, freaky fucking monkeys using weapons fighting each other in arena. It's what's that,
Yes.
Mike? What was that video game? Primal Rage.
Primal Rage. Correct.
It's
correct.
fucking Primal Rage. Like I'm watching this and I'm like, oh my god, this is awesome.
Blizzard
But then
versus
when it's
Chaos.
revealed, he's like, but this is magic. He's like, yeah, like I'm like, what is it's whenever
yeah.
the plot intercepts with the other stuff, I'm like, "Arr!"
Mhm.
Well, that's the thing is like you definitely just have to like turn your brain off for these movies because it's complete nonsense and it makes no sense. And so knowing that, I can say, okay, that's not a good movie, but I'm having fun watching it. Like you said, it's made for kids. There's a lot of kids in my theater as well. I think they were enjoying it. You know, it was a lot of fun seeing.
Popcorn bucket, Jacob. Instead of the Dune one, did you get like King Kong's mouth ready to like suck you off?
No, I wish.
Better than the Jar Jar lollipop from back in the day. Which those are going to be in theaters again soon, so bring it back. Anyway.
But to talk about Scar, the main antagonist of this
Scar
movie,
King. Scar Giver?
Scar King.
Yeah, Scar King.
Scar
Sorry.
Giver, yes.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
But I like his design too because here's the thing. Kong is the biggest and strongest ape of them all. The only thing that can really compete with him is Godzilla, of course.
Mhm.
So instead of trying to make another big ape or like a bigger ape, they said, okay, we're gonna have a smaller but like faster and more like agile
Lanky
fighting
Kong.
style.
Freaky, a
Yeah.
fucking freaky throwback to Lion King Scar. He's kind of almost like a
Yes.
90s Disney animated queer coded like, ooh, brother. He's like the
Absolutely,
freaky ape.
yes.
I love
Yeah.
it, dude.
Exactly.
you
Different
can s-
fighting style than Kong. So Kong's not used to like this fast, smaller thing with like a whip knife that he's using. He's like
Yes.
kind of intimidated by that.
Kratos.
Yeah,
fucking out
exactly.
here.
I do like, so he's got his operation going. Kong's just kind of wandering around. He just gets jumped by some fools. They're like,
Yeah.
hey, yo, you're in the wrong neighborhood, right? And like, speaking of making this a kid's movie, he hits a ape with a child ape. He uses that kid as a
He
weapon.
uses Shimu or what the fuck is that called?
Whatever.
Jojo.
My
We
favorite
don't
character
care.
in the movie, which I'm
Yeah.
excited to talk about.
I'm
I'll look
so
it up.
mad that he came before Godzuki. I'm a Godzuki truther.
Yeah, give us
That's when they go
Zuki.
further in the Hollow Earth. and they find
Suko.
all of Godzilla's stuff.
I'm gonna call him Sucko because he sucks.
Sucko.
No, how dare you? That's my favorite character.
All right, Suko.
He's just a little
Zuko.
guy.
Zuko.
But yeah,
and
there's like
it
this
is
squatted boys
sad.
with a knife, like roadmen. They're like, oh, bro,
Well,
give me your
here's-
wallet, mate.
When he runs in with the fucking hammer at the end, we're jumping all over. I
Yeah,
just keep
yeah,
pointing
yeah.
at the craziest
But
moment.
this is-
it's so crazy. But yeah,
This is what's so sad to me is that Kong has been looking for his ancestors for so long. He just wants to find some other creatures like him. And the
Mhm.
first ones he finds, he gets tricked and he gets jumped by these other apes. And basically,
Mhm.
because the first one he meets is the little guy, and he's like, "Oh, what's up, little guy?" But it turns out he was tricking him. These other
Mhm.
apes jump him. He has to fight him off. I was like, "Damn!" Like Kong just wants
Yeah.
to meet some of his relatives, and they do this to him.
They got a bone knife and everything. Like, I thought that was really entertaining, though. He does, use Suko to hit one of them, but then he's like, yo, bro, I killed you. He even tries to spare him. Like, he saves him
He
when he
saves
falls off a
one,
cliff.
And
then
he
he's like,
still
nope.
tries to jump him, so he's like,
So he
"Fuck
Spartas
you, then."
him.
Dude,
Yeah.
Kong, I love Kong's voice.
Yeah,
He's a
I'm
great
here for
dog.
this. And-
Absolutely, yeah.
but
Suckers
when he
no fools.
Yeah, so he ends up following Suko over there. But I want to ask, because he shows up to Scar King's domain, and we just see like this slave labor happening, like moving rocks. And I'm just thinking to myself, what are they trying to accomplish? They're just moving
Yeah.
rocks around. Like, is he
I had
building
that
a ladder
question
to
as
get to
well.
a
They're
portable?
going to
Like,
the surface is
That's
his
the new
dream.
empire.
Again,
they
she
don't
said
establish that they're building a pile of rocks. They're just
Like,
moving
she
them.
She reads that off the sign. She says that it's his dream to go to the surface. You're
Just
like,
show
first
them
can we
building a
talk
pile.
about,
how old is the Scar King? He's like 1,000 years old.
and they were
Yeah.
just living down there the whole time. And I want to point out that
Moving
they're
rocks for
already
1,000
in Hollow
years.
Earth, and what happens is they're in Hollow Earth, and somehow a sinkhole opens up to an even deeper part of the Hollow Earth. So even though they thought they were in the bottom of the Hollow Earth, there's a hollower Earth underneath the
Mhm.
Hollow Earth.
That
all
has
the
Yeah.
no
monkeys are
access
hiding.
to the portals that Kong uses to get in and out. Because
Apparently.
if I was Scar King, I'd be like, oh shit, this is how you get out of here. It's super easy.
As soon
Well,
as
of
they
course, then
see
you have
him,
the camouflaged natives and everything with this
oh my gosh, that's
camouflaged
the thing.
organic wall that they have or whatever.
Yeah. But I just find this operation confusing. Like, what are you doing moving rocks for 2,000 years? Like, I get if you're trying to build a mountain to climb out of the hole. Like, at least show me
Yeah.
that. Like, they're
No,
just,
I had that question as well. I was like, what
here's
are they
some
doing
slave
down
labor.
there?
Yeah.
There's like some
Making a
lava
throne.
and some rocks and
And he's just chilling. Like, what are you doing? What's the goal?
I wouldn't live that close to the lava, dog. That's you're asking. Kong pushes one of them into it. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's what you get, son. You're too close
I would-
to that lava.
I would just go somewhere else,
I
chill
think
by
that
that
was,
lake, eat some fish. I just wouldn't engage in that society. Yeah.
that was Skronkus's dad or something that he pushes in, right?
I think so.
Good.
Zuko.
Skronkus. I'm gonna call the
Skronkus.
little one Skronkus.
But we do see like Scar King has like it seems like several concubines to the side in one shot, all with babies that cower when he's mad. It's like he's like
Oh,
birthing
man.
heirs and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it is pretty wild. He's a Morton Joe.
But he's
Yeah,
just
it
been down
seems
there the
like-
whole time.
Yeah.
This movie's a
waiting for
lot
King
like
Kong
Fury
to-
Road, actually.
There's probably a lot of inbreeding.
Speaking
Yeah.
of the trailer that I got before this movie, yeah.
I'm
Right.
sure. I'm sure.
Can Scar King carry? Because here's what I was wondering. Because he has to be formidable enough to necessitate Godzilla helping, and it's not until really Shimu comes out that it's like, oh,
Yeah.
you just got an ice monster.
Well,
You're not
yeah.
really tough. So does that undercut him? Do we like
Well,
that
he
he
can
teams up with Shimu?
1v1. He 1v1's Kong. He's got a whole ape army that can fight for him too, and then he's
He
got
wasn't gonna
Shimu, which is
Blackbeard
like his
him.
dog.
Just with
Yeah.
ice instead of fire. Huh.
Kinda, pretty much. Mike,
Right.
both of these characters are original to these films, both these antagonists.
Yeah, there has not been. Shimu's brand new, and there's never been like another great ape antagonist in any of the.
No.
There's been a King
I mean,
Caesar
thought
that's
Shimu
like,
might be a
I get why
reference
you
to something.
do it. Sure, maybe.
but it's new. It's never been in anything prior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I called him Freezilla. because
Freezilla.
He's got
Well,
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
Here's what I'm thinking. I call her Godzilla's girlfriend because that's the vibe I
Oh,
was
is it a
getting
girl?
by the end of this.
Oh,
that
it
he's
is a
like-
girl.
They said 1,000 times that it's a she, and Godzilla was like nuzzling up against it at one point. A little fire, a little ice.
yeah.
Maybe that's my
Dang.
Godzuki coming.
There we go. Yeah, we can get a little Godzuki. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm wondering, like, I like that he's a foil for Kong, but I don't know if I like him more than Mechagodzilla, because Mechagodzilla could take both of them at once, right? It took teamwork, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, but what was Mechagodzilla? What was its motivation? It was just like a robot that went rogue.
I think it was the
Oh, no.
government, and then it was one of King Ghidorah's heads, right?
Yeah, well,
Correct.
that's what
So-
they used to create it, and then the human was
Yeah.
trying to control it, but then it overrode the human.
Right.
So what seems to be implied, because this is very important, Jacob, because they use the skull of Ghidorah, one that got overridden, it seems to be implied that Ghidorah's spirit manifests and takes over the robot, and it's like, oh, Godzilla, fuck you. Like it's
I'm back.
Ghidorah
Also,
takes it over. Yeah.
Doesn't Ghidorah have 3 skulls? So what happened to the other 2 skulls?
Tyrion Lannister has those.
Right.
Yeah,
Tywin
somewhere.
Lannister,
One of
yeah.
them got turned
Tywin,
ice.
sorry.
It's gonna
Yeah.
show up in the
How dare you.
finale.
Yeah, who knows?
I
But,
remember not really liking Mecha Godzilla, so I would say I preferred these villains.
It was a good final
right.
boss for the fact that like Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, like it's not really about them fighting, it's about them teaming up at the end to fight a larger threat.
You need your doomsdays out.
It's about civilian
Yeah.
collateral. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Very similar.
Yeah, Kong is
fair,
the Batman,
fair.
of course. Why'd you say that name? They have the same. Their
Kong
mothers
is
have the same
Batman?
name.
I see
I would say,
Kong
yeah.
as so much more nobler. To me, that makes him Superman. And again, Batman, because to me, Friday Night Lights is his Commissioner Gordon. He's always like, Godzilla, we need you here to defeat the weird spider thing. And Godzilla's
That's
like,
true.
Godzilla's Batman because
Rebecca Hall is
Godzilla's
kinda
like
Commissioner Gordon for Kong.
Godzilla's Batman
Yes.
because he sees crime and he punches it. He's
Yes,
like,
that's his whole
kaiju?
thing.
Get fucked, yeah.
That's
And
Anyway.
he's got a
That's true.
girlfriend named Mothra Woman, who's kind of an
The
anti-hero.
Queen of Monsters.
The Queen of Monsters who sacrificed herself to save him in the King of Monsters,
Yeah.
Well, so here that too. We got Mothra's back. And they imply that like, oh, our lead girl, like she has to be the one that frees Mothra. Mothra can bring balance. Like, just start that earlier and just spread it out. Like it's so rushed.
An
and
ancient
it's like,
prophecy.
but it's so rushed. Like so they have something to
Yeah.
do for the rest of the movie that's
Well, they
not just
do-
wandering around.
She had a dream, and the dream was Mothra, and Mothra's here, and she has
She's
to touch her.
getting-
Mothra's here right now, so do it, touch her. You're
And it has to be you
Getting
because you're from
controlled
Skull Island.
telepathically, right? And that's how it starts. Is that she does, and because she's the last of her tribe on Skull Island, she feels like she doesn't have a place here in America or whatever, being Rebecca Hall's adopted daughter.
I believe you mean on the world, opposed to in the world.
Yes,
We need to meet that tribe and know that Mothra is like gestating way earlier, and we need to have like that chunk take up more time than wandering in the jungle. I think that's just my opinion because I get like functionally how it works. It just feels really rushed, and I wish like
yeah.
I don't know because the girl having a connection to Mothra, that's precedent. It's like they had the twins in the original, Godzilla movies that would summon Mothra, right? So that's like a thing.
But
So
later,
spend time
Kong
developing that.
says Rebecca Hall's like to the podcast guy. How did he know to? The podcast guy's like, how did he know to come here? And she's like, he sensed her, and So Kong also has a psychic connection with this little girl. Does every kaiju have a psychic connection with this tribe?
Well, Kong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they established in the last movie that her and Kong have this relationship where they communicate via sign language and stuff, and she's kind of the Kong whisperer, this little girl. So I guess that naturally progresses to she can telepathically communicate with these titans now.
I see a world where he runs away with his frostbite, stumbles into this, she sees him, and she's like, yo, we got a moth, tell Godzilla, help, right? This moth will help, bro, like go get him. Like she could motivate him to be like, okay, got it, dude. And like, I don't know, at least then there's more agency with her because she can talk to Kong.
The Iwi tribe is sending these signals to her brain to warn as a warning,
right.
as a distress signal, because the Scar King has gotten loose.
It's a trap.
Oh, and the distress signal is to Godzilla as well. Yeah, so it's a beacon of Scar
That's how he
King
knows
out
to
here.
go suck up the other radiation.
To
So
suck
basically
up old
throughout this
Tiamat.
movie, we're periodically cutting to Godzilla, who's like walking around Earth.
What's he doing?
Absorbing as much radiation as he can, killing other titans. I did like the Tiamat fight scene, like the
Underwater.
design of Tiamat was cool. Also, the scene where he fights like a giant crab monster was pretty
Bro,
cool. Like
he's
seeing
a hell
the different
diver.
titans.
Tiamat,
Yeah.
that's like the Leviathan. That's like the sea serpent
Yeah,
one.
the sea
The
serpent.
purple one.
That was cool.
And they say there's some exposition where like this thing has like the most radiation energy in the world, basically. So if he kills that, he can supercharge.
Yeah, and that's
They
how
say
we
that
get
in the movie.
pink.
That's how he turns
we get
pink because he's supercharged, Colin.
So, like, again, guys,
It's
like,
SSJ too.
they are solving things again by putting them
With
down
dialogue.
in a hole and being like, who fucking cares? You know, they can bash around as much as they want up there. But like when Godzilla's shooting his fucking laser at the pyramids and the pyramids are destroyed, like
Yes.
the
Mhm.
city of Gaza is a
Oh,
mile
jeez.
away from those pyramids. Now, Mike, are they all just the amount of radiation that I just imagine is like
Yeah.
in the air constantly? Are they
Well, I
gonna
was-
end up like Kumiko or whatever her name is with the black scarring or whatever's growing
The
on
G
her
cells.
at the end of
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
thinking about
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
this world, the Titanverse world, is like
Makes
in
no
this world,
sense.
like giant monsters just attack cities constantly. There's
Does the
constantly
president just like get
disasters
on
going on.
he's just let me ask you guys this. They go to there is the sign language girl. It
Mhm.
cuts to her the first time she's introduced, and a Chiron says, Monarch, you know, the secret society, Monarch private school or whatever. And
Yeah.
they're all learning or whatever, and they're like, the true history of the monsters is this, what I would call a fucking Republican nightmare. Talk about fucking indoctrination at schools. Who knows what these maniacs are teaching us about
Says-
the true history of the kaiju world?
The failure of
But is-
democracy.
But is Monarch in charge of the planet at this point? Like, is the president of Monarch Jacob the one who like gets on a telecast and it's like Godzilla is asleep in the Parthenon after destroying Squid Face?
Well, you
We
gotta
must
think that
all worship Godzilla.
Mhm.
they're probably getting some huge like defense contract deals with like the American government and stuff to be like, hey, we need like Titan-proof like buildings
Everything,
and shit. Yeah.
houses, schools. We need
There's
to
insurance for
constantly
it.
be going underground or
That's right,
above
they do
ground
talk
or
about that.
like.
Yeah, you get your
Yeah.
insurance.
Yeah, he's taking a little nap in the Coliseum. Like, yeah, it's like crazy. Like they don't,
It's horrifying.
buildings are
It's
getting destroyed.
to
Hundreds of
conceptually think
thousands of
about it,
people are dying.
this is a fun, cute thing that a screenwriter goes like, you know, and then he takes a nap. He curls up like a cat inside the Coliseum. And you're
Mhm.
like, the horror reality is 9/11 just
He just
occurred,
stepped on
and
like
the
20,000
terrorists
people
are
with his feet.
still there, sitting on the World Trade Center, giving you the finger as you're
Right.
like, why? Like, leave us be.
Well, even
There's
the Hong Kong battle in the last movie,
Yeah.
it was
Oh,
like,
man.
it's all a misunderstanding. Like they get along now. It's like, okay, well they've killed like millions of people. Probably.
My
That's
whole
like-
Millions.
life is gone.
Yeah.
Everyone I know was Godzilla blinked at us, and the wind from it, you know, ripped us all in half. Like I have no feet anymore. Please.
I can't
But
fire
that's
escape
okay,
quick
mate, 'cause
enough.
I'm Trapper, and I take his tooth out sometimes, and
He's
we're
got a little
pals.
toothache, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
he killed my mom. My life. Godzilla
Yeah.
ruined everything.
I think Kong does try to do a little bit better job of like not killing innocent bystanders. Godzilla's just like, I don't give a fuck. Like
No.
you're in my
Means
way.
nothing.
You're
Human
getting
life
stepped on.
means nothing to me.
Nothing.
I'm your god.
Yeah.
But I
Kong can at
worship
least
that
look at you in the
fucking-
eye and be like,
Yo.
oh, you're like a little person.
I did.
Yeah.
I did watch this on Easter, and every time I saw Godzilla, apologies to everybody, but I just kept thinking, our God is an awesome God. He reigns, and I just imagine Godzilla just wrecking everything. Like, oh man, he is
Ah,
risen.
he
my
is
God.
risen.
These
He is
movies,
risen.
these are existential horror films when I
It's
watch
dread.
because they are the apocalypse.
Well, if you
occurring.
lived in this
It'll be a
world,
terrible
normal about
world.
it.
you would
Yeah.
you would imagine there's like cults and religions like devoted to Godzilla now of like people being like, okay, well clearly this is a god in real life. We need to worship it for sure. So that that would be a
Damn.
thing.
This is what it needs. We had the Charles Dance and the King of Monsters, who's like, I'm an eco-terrorist. We need to blow this up.
Yes.
We need someone who is like, the madness needs to end. The world needs to be destroyed.
We need Pacific
to
Rim.
stop all of this.
Well,
We need to
that's
make
what
some
Apex
giant-
was doing with Mechagodzilla. We need something
Yeah.
that can be number one.
That's
Humans will be
true.
top of the
Yeah.
food
But
chain.
here's
They-
the thing:
there needs
why
to be
did
a
it need to
virus.
be?
Yeah. Okay.
Just make a giant robot that's not connected to Ghidorah's skull. First of all,
First of all, yes.
yeah.
Secondly, Pacific
make
Rim
one
was
that
a
can
flop,
be
so
controlled
we
by
can't
two
call them.
people, so you can have the drift
Yes,
between
simultaneously
them.
with their brains drifting. Yes,
Yes.
sharing memories.
There is a world where they were going to be combined if Pacific Rim 2 didn't flop because they're both
That's right, because there
legendary.
was a
Legendary.
legendary thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the portals, you can retcon the rift as Hollow Earth, and then Charlie Hunnam saves the day.
Dog.
But yeah, it's all silly.
It's just a shame that movie never got a sequel. Pacific Rim.
Well, it did. Oh yeah, it never got a sequel. You're right. Damn.
No,
Never
never
got a
did.
sequel. It's very
It
sad.
Never did.
John
So
Boyega definitely wasn't in it. Yeah.
Oh man, they did not cancel the apocalypse. Sorry, Idris. So Monarch. To be clear, real quick, there's in the show. It's clear that like they're an independent organization that focuses on Titan. They're funded by the government, but the government is constantly trying to wrestle power and take control of the program. And even in this, she's yelling at a senator. So in 50 years, they still haven't gotten control of Monarch. It still seems to be independent, but funded by the government and senators. She doesn't even answer to them, you know?
That's the thing is I'm not sure I'm on the side of Monarch. Like
I'm
they're like a
not-
private
No.
military contractor that has more power than the government. I don't think that's
Yes.
a good thing.
And can I ask a question? Where we have the whole world is at stake, and we're gonna send a podcaster, a mom, a deaf girl, and one guy with a tiny gun that's never fired.
Kinda
We don't
like
even
a
know if it's any
drunk.
good. Yeah. Oh, and a dentist. So like,
Yeah, the
okay.
Yeah, a Titan veterinarian / dentist, a guy that dies immediately in the jungle. Yeah.
Yeah, the only security guy. And every time we discover something very serious, instead of reporting it to Monarch, we just go deeper into the danger with a child.
Yeah.
It's baffling. But you know.
Didn't we lose funding for Project Thunderfist? Boy,
Oh,
let's
yes.
send it anyways. Bam, bam, in the earth, and the wind, and the fire, and baby. I mean, it's just like Guardians of the Galaxy. What it has done to modern cinema, it is.
Oh yeah, the coloring. And then even like with this
Yeah.
that dentist when they're like, hey, while we're doing shit that doesn't make any sense, how about I just throw anything at the wall? They say, like, how about I do something crazy? Like, I don't give a fuck. Third act, do whatever
coming
you
back
want.
with all these flying things. But
The podcaster just
I-
said, "Are you Rocket Raccoon?" Dan says,
Oh.
"Like, no, I'm actually not, mate."
They should have gotten Bradley Cooper.
But I like the Dan Stevens character. He was probably
I
my
love
favorite
Trapper.
human character.
I'm pro
He's goofy.
Trapper.
And Colin, have you?
Fair.
I don't know if you guys have seen the show Solar Opposites, which is
Mhm.
the Justin Roiland created show similar to Rick and Morty, but it's on Hulu. It's about a bunch of aliens. Of course, Justin Roiland is no longer with the show after some things came out about him a while back. He got
Bleep blurb.
booted off that show and Rick and Morty. But he was the voice, like he was the voice of Rick and Morty. He was the voice of one of the aliens, one of the main characters. They replaced him with Dan Stevens, who doesn't try to imitate his voice at all. He does a completely different voice with a British accent when before he had an American accent. And it totally works because it's just like, yeah, we're not doing the Rick and Morty thing of just getting sound alikes. We're going to go a completely different direction. But in
Why
the
would it
show, he like damages his like vocal cords or something, and then he starts talking like that, and then
Oh, that's right.
his husband Terry is just like, no, I like it like this. Let's keep it like that.
And he
Um,
says, "Will it affect flashbacks too?" And he says, "Yes." So it won't be that other voice. in the
Yeah,
past
because
as
Wow.
well. It's very important.
That's
Yeah.
very funny.
And
Okay,
he's
well, I'm
very
pro
good
Trapper
in
now.
that show. Yeah, so I'm a fan.
I was a
of Dan.
Legion guy. I'm a huge Dan Stevens guy. I love Legion.
Yeah.
I did not watch Downton Abbey, which I believe was his breakthrough. But God bless.
I do like the Ace Ventura reference. At least they were self-aware, calling him like an Ace Ventura head ass. Like,
Yeah,
all
it's-
right.
He even
That's
has like a
good.
Hawaiian shirt, right? Like
Yeah.
Ace Ventura. So yeah.
Yeah, talk about guano. All right, so question. Big set piece. So, all right, Scar King gets out of his thing. He's got his ice dog. He's coming to wreck shop. There's a big fight because he finds the portals, the magnets, whatever, right? Ancient
She-Hulk.
aliens, pyramids. This fight ends up having inverted gravity. Does this work for you when like everyone's floating
No.
around? Not for me.
It's CGI.
Again, it's all nonsense.
It's green
Did we
screen
see
the
that in?
explanation makes no sense to me. But
So
I guess it's
it'll
follower.
last either
Yeah.
30 minutes, a minute, 30 seconds. Like even
seconds.
the fact that the writing is like as loose as that, which I'm sure they think
Yeah,
is
we
very
don't know.
linky.
Right.
It's like, ugh.
I
It's
said in the
insufferable.
last over text, the last Pirates, things just happen because they need to. This has that energy. Like I said, they're swinging
Yeah.
on ropes in a scene in Pirates. It's in the middle of a town square, and I'm like, there's nothing. It happens because
Well,
it needs to happen, and that's kind
It
of how
should
this
just
feels.
say in the script, Mike, action occurs. Like I
Action
guarantee
occurs,
you're right.
yeah.
That it just says
Yeah. Well, again, it's the action set pieces are what ties it together, and then they have to
Yeah.
kind of connect that. But they can kind of explain all this stuff, saying like, oh, it's hollow Earth, gravity works different down here, the laws of physics are different. Like it's all
Mhm.
anything can happen, just like it's like we're in space or something.
But man, they just use that blank check so just so egregiously to not even make an attempt to have any logic and just, man, we're just gonna hand wave it all. Like, I get it, they're
There's just
silly.
cooler stuff you could
Yeah.
do. I mean, I don't think a zero G where all of a sudden Godzilla is just kind of like it's kind of here's what I think it is. The trailer came out and everybody was like, that shot of Kong and Godzilla running together is so ridiculous that you can't have
I
these
like
action
that
set
shot.
pieces. I like it too.
Yeah,
But
I mean, it's
the idea where
They're
they're like,
buddies.
hey, look, we're making this essentially a buddy cop bad boys style film. And all
Yeah.
of those movies
Mhm.
have a scene where shoulder to shoulder, the good guys go, X gonna give it to you. You know, like, come on, like, let's,
Mhm.
they just start like running and moving. And it looks
Yep.
dumb and ridiculous. And I think they're like,
But they're leaning
God,
into
this
that.
fucking big fat ass lizard looks like fucking silly running around. So if we turn the gravity off and he just kind of spins into everybody, and we can just say he knocked everyone down, that's an interesting action
Jump
scene. You're
off
like,
rocks.
okay, I guess so, yeah.
Well, here's the thing: is like the tone of these movies, like the evolution of the Legendary series, has gone from in
Very
the first
serious.
Godzilla, he's this existential threat of this giant thing that's fucking up cities, and it's like very scary and very real.
What
to,
are we
like,
gonna do, Jacob? We're gonna hire Bryan Cranston at the height of Breaking Bad, what's
Right.
considered the most serious actor ever, to ground this franchise in reality, where you will
Yeah.
barely see Godzilla.
And the way they
even.
film him, yeah, it's
Yes.
like he's
The scale is good.
yeah. There, and it's more from the human point of view. After a while, they're like, okay, this Godzilla and this Kong, they're just like giant humanoid things that like have personalities. They're not
Like
no longer like a force of
a-
nature.
Jacob, you could imagine a board member being like, here's a note at the end of the movie. What if the two monsters fist bumped? Like, what if this Godzilla like
Yeah.
gave a hang 10 or something, to King Kong, or like saluted him or something? Where it's like,
It's a
dude,
buddy
like
cop
it's
thing.
what he has changed from that first movie. Like, it is 1,000 years apart.
Oh,
it
yeah.
is insane.
Absolutely. So I can
And
see why
even
Godzilla purists, Godzilla fans, they don't jive with this tone because they want, like, again, in -0, like, he's very much like a real scary threat. He's not your buddy, right? So
No,
this is going a
I'm
whole different direction. Yeah.
no, right, it is, and I'm a fan of the Showa era. I assume Adam Wingard grew up with the Showa films, which are the campy, cheesy ones. That's the one where he does a tail slide and stuff. Like, we get a suplex in this, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's fine. I'm
Yes.
okay for that. But if you're gonna do
Yeah.
it, go crazy. Like, if he's flying upside down, have him use his breath to freaking propel him at something and hit him with your spike
Right.
tail. Like, get creative
You-
then. Don't just jump off a rock.
It should be Planet Monsters or Planet X or whatever those ones are.
Yeah.
Like, Mike, this one should start with all the kaiju on a rocket ship to the moon or Mars, where it's like, you're no longer Earth's problem,
Yeah.
go crazy. And then the rest of the film should be an hour and a half of seeing your action figures collide with each other. Like, it should
Yeah.
just be nonsense.
Monster Island. Just put
I mean,
them
when
all
you
together.
have you have shots of Godzilla like smirking to the camera and stuff in this movie, that it's like he's like Jim from The Office or something. It's great.
Oh man, yeah, geez. So, again, you could be cheap. I don't know. They could be more creative, I think, if they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think you got to lean fully into that angle and just go completely campy and just like really blow it out and to have fun with it. This is kind of like a middle ground where they're like trying to ground it in realism sometimes, and then sometimes there's some more zaniness to it, but it's like you got to go one way or the other, right?
they didn't
So
even give
can
us
I-
a beam chart. They didn't give us an ice and fire beam battle. Like, that's the easiest thing you
Yeah,
can
they
do.
should've-
Classic. They should.
That's a classic of Dragon Ball. Yeah.
So can I read some stuff real quick? So this is a
Yes.
Slash Film article, and it is entitled 5 Reasons Godzilla X Kong Obliterated the Box Office.
Yes.
Now,
I
important to
very
say,
well.
Yeah.
it's doing extremely well. It smashed its predictions of what it was going to get for the weekend. It's opening night. So people really perceive what it was going to
beat
do.
Dune 2 for the highest grossing opening weekend of 2024 so far. So
Fascinating.
outselling Dune 2, which is amazing.
What the
But-
fuck?
So, and it
Yeah.
ate up obviously a lot of those IMAXs. We'll get to that point
Right.
here in a second. But react to these honestly. I want to
Lee
know
Kong
if you
Al
guys
Gaib.
believe with these 5 points. He's the chosen one, Mike. He eats the bananas that we can't. The blue bananas.
The one from
Okay.
the outer world.
Point number 1. People loved and caught up with Godzilla versus Kong. Now, that is a film that ended at $468 million, and they make the point, like Dune Part 1, it was released at a
the
bad
pandemic,
time, and then people caught up.
HBO simultaneous release on Max with theater, so it
was a simultaneous?
I watched it at home.
I watched it on Max when it came out.
Guess
So
I did too.
It's hard
Same
to
with
compare
Dune.
the box office because like it would have made a lot more money. If
That's why I don't fucking remember that movie. We all watched it at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so. In Dune 2, I watched at home. Dune also, not Dune 2, but Dune
Part 1.
I watched the same way. So it's an interesting parallel. But this is outselling it.
Yes, I had to go see Dune Part 1 in IMAX because I was like,
you have
got
to
see it in IMAX.
Jacob the IMAX king, Oppenheimer, Dune. You seek out the films you want to see in IMAX. I respect you for that, dog.
Yeah, if it's like if it's a movie like that where it's like, yeah, it's an event. Like I want to see in IMAX. If it's like Ghostbusters: The Frozen Empire, no, I'm catching that on streaming.
Obliterated, by the way, people are really crying about that.
And there's a lot of ice in this. We go to Antarctica. We have Shimu, Frozen Empire. Not that Frozen.
You know what they should do, and maybe they're planning to do this. Re-release Fury Road in IMAX prior to Furiosa coming out. Get people to go see that.
Explicitly 4DX. Just Mad Max is only in 4DX with the rumble chair.
Well, Dune, this, and Furiosa all WB. Like if Warner Brothers was really doing that good, Jacob, I am impressed by the strategy that they're kind of doing with these releases.
And that explains the casualties in their superhero battles too. It's Warner Brothers.
Well, that's the thing is like they're like, okay, DC's not working. Like we're gonna put that on hold while James Gunn reboots the entire universe, and we're gonna focus on these other franchises for like a year. I mean, you had Aquaman in December, but that was the last of the DCEU.
You're
it's
right.
Officially over, and we won't get another one till the new Superman, the James Gunn Superman, in 2025 or 2026. I don't even know when.
Right.
Interesting. Okay, so they're being
Superman
successful.
Is fighting Godzilla in the comic books right now. I do want to point that out. People really like the comics. So
hey, okay.
Point
James
number 2.
Gunn would.
Big monster, bigger ticket prices. 48% of tickets sold were IMAX, Dolby Cinema, and Cinemark XD.
Really? There's the option to see this in 3D. When I was looking at tickets over the weekend,
awesome.
I was like, should I go see it in 3D? And I decided not to. I was like, I'll just see it in 2D. But maybe it was worth it to see it in 3D.
I'm the 3D boy. When we're together, we see 3D stuff. Yeah. You're the IMAX kid. I'm the 3D boy.
I'm the 4DX king. Well, Alamo on my regular.
You're the Dine and Dash.
Let me get a whiskey.
Dine and Dash.
Yeah.
We have a whiskey at the start of every movie. Yeah. So that's interesting. Premium screens.
Just don't do what that. Oh, sorry to interrupt, but don't do what that guy did at Love Lies Bleeding.
Wow.
The Alamo Draft House.
Hey, you guys heard?
Oh, jeez. I still need to go see that.
Had to drag
I
my
won't do it
ass out.
easy.
I had to pull my pants up, if you know what I mean. So here, point number 3. Word of mouth matters. This film received an A- cinema score. That is a huge. That is people who, if you don't know what that means, when you leave. And you're being, asked to fill out these recommended cards of would you recommend this to see, blah, 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 blah. Did you like the film? Did it meet your expectations? To get an A is incredible.
Yeah, anything in the A's is good.
Is incredible, yes.
And if you look at like Rotten Tomatoes, like 55% critics, but like 90 or 80, high 80s to 90 audience scores. So people are enjoying it even if it's not critically acclaimed because it's one of those movies that's just like, yeah, it's a crowd pleaser. People like it, but
I mean, Adam Wingard's got to be happy with that then, right? Regardless.
I'm sure the Legendary is very happy with the box office because, like I said, it's a big surprise that it's doing so well. But they, it's like I think the first one would have done better again if it wasn't the simultaneous release thing. So I don't know. People like these movies. So
all right,
and what's interesting
here. Oh, sorry.
The lowest audience score that I can see clicking through real quick seems to be Skull Island. Oh, no, the original. 2014 and then Skull Island.
Oh, okay, good.
For audiences. Okay. But critics like Skull Island. So
we might be wrong on that. I don't know. We're just
snobs because we're on the flip, We don't know how to have fun.
Right. But it's just interesting that people are so fatigued on MCU and superheroes, but they'll go see like mid Godzilla movies and they're willing to give that a pass, but not like
doesn't have to be high art. Why wasn't why didn't Captain Marvel break the mold? You're like,
Because I would say this,
Bro.
this movie's about on the same level as like Ant-Man Quantumania, but you know, they're
As far
both
as
not
quality.
good movies. Yeah, they're both mid, but they're entertaining to watch.
The set pieces
They
are
both
bigger, and they
dug
have a
all over it.
kaiju in Quantumania because he gets
Yeah.
big.
Yeah. Oh, they do. Yeah, 100%. All
Yeah,
right, two more
okay.
points here, and then I'll drop this. But so far, I've agreed with every one of these of why I think this is such a success so far. I think you guys do too.
Yeah, I'm agreeing.
It's an up-the-middle, crowd-pleasing blockbuster. It doesn't have to be as advanced as Dune Part 2. It can be something like The Beekeeper or Mean Girls that just keeps the theater afloat with steady ticket sales.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, Dune Part 2 is still like, I think it's a crowd pleasing movie. It's like more of a tough sell for some people to get into it because like, I don't know anything about the books or I haven't seen Part 1, then you might be a little confused. But it's like, once you're watching it, like you do, it is a crowd pleaser, I think.
I'm not bringing kids to Dune Part 2, though.
No, it's
You know what I
more
mean?
adult movie.
No,
So
I
you
guess
get
that's
more
true,
ticket
Mike.
sales with families
Yeah.
here is all I'm trying to get at.
That's,
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
And it
about
is.
last-
There's no politics in it. You know what I mean? Like it is just a monkey
Yeah.
and a lizard. Nothing to get pissed off about. They're not gender swapping Godzilla for people to bitch or whatever. You know, it's pretty just like, hey, punch monkey with a glove. You like that, right? Like, okay.
It's not woke, you know. They need to make Kong woke first of all.
Yeah.
Look,
Woke
Doc,
Empire.
Excuse me.
Woke Empire.
Going to marry Godzilla, and they now have a baby that they're going to take care of together.
I want them to co-parent that little guy.
They will. All right, final point here, and I think this is the main one. This is what I
Yes.
believe. It's called the Godzilla -1 effect. Monsters have never been more popular.
Bro.
But at
it
the
has
same
to.
time, it looks bad in comparison to -1 is the thing.
But we want
But it-
big monsters.
We want more
It
monsters.
gets you in the seat. Like, that's, Jacob, you go like, I missed that Academy Award winning Godzilla. Did you hear next month there's a new one? And you're like, there's another Godzilla already? I guess Godzilla's really popular. Like, it's so manufactured in your mind.
So I thought
It has to
I was
help.
thinking that it was unfortunate timing for it to come out after -1, but maybe it actually helped it, is what this is saying.
I think for critical reception, it sucks that you had to
Yeah.
follow that. As a Godzilla movie, I'm sorry. As any Godzilla movie, I'm sorry, because they're all inferior to -1.
Right.
But as a hype machine, and this is just a fun crowd pleaser, it's not trying to be -1. Yeah, it definitely had to help. Just like build up steam for this.
Well, then thinking about this, like with kaiju movies and stuff, was Pacific Rim just ahead of its time? Because that
Yes.
was somewhat of a box office disappointment when it came out, bordering on, I don't know if it was a
Why
flop.
did Guillermo del Toro want to do that? Does he love kaiju
That's his
movies?
one for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
He likes
Okay.
that shit. Yeah.
And that movie, like,
Okay.
again, I think that movie kicks this movie's ass in terms of like it's
Yeah,
a better movie.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't
was
really love that movie, but
I-
yeah.
I really like that movie. It's a lot of fun rewatching
The-
it. Like he's definitely indebted to like, you know, anime and that kind of thing. But it's really good. I think it was just ahead of its time because it did not do that well at the box office, and it didn't do as well as this movie, obviously.
If the human solution to Titans was building giant robot drift compatible, like that's so much more interesting. Like that's really
It is.
cool.
Yeah.
It's kaijus
Charlie Hunnam.
versus like giant like mechs, right? It's Evangelion versus kaijus basically.
It's
Like,
Gundam
yeah,
X Kong. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's sick.
It's not that obviously the rest of his oeuvre, Hellboy, like I know he can be silly, but like it's just
Yeah.
that to me seems like that is his ultimate indulgence into. It just really feels like he should not have been. He was just not the guy. Like if you told me
Mm.
Tony Scott made Pacific Rim, I'd be like, that's fucking wild. Like wow, like that's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
But
put some respect on Knifehead's name, man.
Yeah,
He's
I
got a
just-
knife for a head.
one of my favorite Del Toro movies.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow.
So this is
Just love
wild.
Charlie Day, you know.
I think we're winding to around final thoughts, but anything else for this
There's
generally?
not
I
that
mean,
much to
in
talk about
particular.
with this movie.
no, it's just there's a lot of. I mean, any
I
good
liked when
fight
Scar
scene
King
moments.
got the hammer. I thought that was cool.
He
when
took
like,
his stuff. This is
disarms
mine
Kong.
now.
Yeah, and I was like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's a dope inclusion.
Yeah, I
Kong
just
gets
take
his stuff.
frostbite. We didn't talk about it. He gets frostbite on his hand.
Yes,
He goes
please.
back. Dan Stevens is like, "Well, hey, we've got this discontinued project we were working on.
I-
But it's
give him-
finished.
let's
What
give
about
him a
funding?
mech glove. Let's give him a power
He gets
glove."
the Nintendo Power Glove. Yeah,
That's right.
he could play better than anybody.
Man, yes. Oh man, well, that's Donkey Kong, Nintendo baby. So he's got some rare
If-
wear on his
if-
arm, is what I'm saying.
If you
That's right.
guys had a Kong name styled like Donkey Kong, King Kong, what would your Kong name be? Mike, I think you'd be Cool Kong.
Cool Kong, maybe.
You'd be Cool Kong.
What would
Cool
I
Kong.
be?
I think
Cobby Kong.
Cobby
Yeah.
Kong.
I think you'd be Cobby Kong. I think I'd be
Kong.
like depressed Kong. Like,
Suicidal Kong.
I'd be Sleepy
Oh,
Kong,
that's my
maybe.
least favorite of the Kong family.
Yeah. They're like, well, that one we got to put him into the slave labor camp. Like he's asking for it.
Yeah, that's Polar Kong.
Let's
Yeah,
talk
man.
about-
Oh, here.
Yeah.
I have one final
No, you
note.
know what I want to be? Sorry to interrupt you real quick, Mike.
Go,
You know what I want
go.
to be in that universe? I want to be the guy who's the equivalent of in Return of the Jedi, who's the Rancor keeper. I want to be the monkey keeper who's friends with Shimu, who's like, I'm sorry he like hurts you or whatever, but like I like feed Shimu and stuff. I'm
Yeah.
like petting
Yeah.
Shimu and stuff. That'd be
You're that
great.
Gamorrean monkey?
Yes,
Gamorrean gorilla?
yes.
Yeah. That'd be great. Yeah.
That'd be great.
Aw.
I
So you
did
get
Sorry.
to invite him along to be the handler.
talking about
cry.
Shimu, like I did think
killed.
his like Shimu's design was cool. The
I
ice
thought the
powers.
special effects looked the worst. She looked
Oh,
the
really?
most unrendered, I would say, but I thought she looked cool. Maybe
Yeah,
it's
general
the
design
white
wise.
coloring that just doesn't add for a lot of detail, Jacob. You know what I mean? She
Yeah.
doesn't look as sharp
blown
as the
out.
rest of them. Yeah, a little blown out, Mike.
Yeah.
I like
okay.
the ape society. Like it's getting me again excited for Planet of the Apes.
Hey
Ape
man,
roll.
you need to move some rocks from left to right. Inexplicably. That's your society, my guy.
When Succo helps set off the trap, I thought that was pretty
Yeah.
cool too.
Stronkus.
I do love the traps. I have two notes here.
Yeah.
One is we do get a cool thing where they free Shimu, and then Kong has got Scar Giver by the throat, and they freeze Scar Lord, right? And then I was thinking, like, Godzilla's gonna blow this motherfucker up, you know, like he's gonna do it because in the
Yeah.
previous movie, it's Kong who destroys the doppelganger of Godzilla with the axe. So it's
right.
Godzilla's turn to return the favor as a parallel because his doppelganger is very much Scar
Yeah,
God.
these are very Kong-centered, dog. That would have been a good point, but no.
And the second point I have is the entire purpose of this movie, in my opinion, seems to be he kills the Scar King, and nobody says, "Oh no, that's not Kong. That's King Kong."
King Kong.
I
Why
thought about
doesn't
that,
that
though.
happen? Is it a
Well,
licensing thing?
we already established that Godzilla is the king of all monsters. So we can't have another king, maybe, because then there'd be two.
Yeah, we
kings.
talked about the long legal dispute that it seems
Yeah.
like they don't own the right to the name King Kong, but they
That's
own
right.
everything else. So they
Right.
literally call him Kong. I don't understand why or how that is possible. But Mark Evan Jackson, who is in Kong Skull Island, brought this up on the Good
Mm.
Place podcast. That is how I know
Copy.
this. Very strangely.
Can't you do a
That's
cheeky
interesting.
line like, "Oh, there's a new king in town"? Like, can't you don't say the words next to
Yeah.
each other? Just do it that way.
Yeah. Well, you know,
I think the
he's
closest
king now,
thing
dot, dot,
you
dot,
get.
Kong. Like,
Kong?
you just,
Question
you have
mark?
to
He's
take,
the
like,
king
his
now.
face.
Somebody walks
Yes,
up. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kong?
In the last movie, when they're talking about two alpha titans, one of them's got to bow down to the other one, and then Rebecca Hall says, "Kong bows to no one."
Kong
So that's
bows to
kind
no
of
one.
Yeah.
kind of a reference to him being king, I guess.
He
But
took over an empire. He
Yeah.
could be king. Just do the line.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's
So
the
that's
new
like,
empire.
I mean, the fact that he was called the Scar King, I was so positive he would inherit the title, Mike.
Emperor
Well, if it's-
Kong.
if-
It's got a
Yeah,
ring
it should
to
be
it.
Emperor Kong if it's the new emperor.
But this thing,
New
this
empire.
ends like a
Emperor's got
motherfucker.
new Kong.
They fucking
Hmm.
Mothra flies up in the air. They smash the fucking monkey, Mike. I was like, ooh, I would not want to be smashed. I kept
They
thinking about
do.
that. I was like, ooh, I do not like.
Jason Exum.
Everybody basically
Obliterated.
waves as the big monkey and little monkey walk down into the hole, and Godzilla goes and takes another nap, and it just
Goes
cuts
back to the
straight
Coliseum.
black. Yeah.
Hmm.
I like that.
Oh,
That's
they
like
got a
his
dog now.
now.
Shimu's a pet dog. She's a
But,
good girl.
yeah.
I mean, is the assumption that he's going to go live with the rest of the society, or are they going to live by themselves? Kong and
They've
Little
accepted
Kong?
him as their new king because
I think
he
he's taken
defeated
over.
I
the
guess.
Scar King, I guess. So they all
Again,
listen to
I
him
would have
'cause
really
he's
liked
the
that
alpha.
clarified and say the line. Call him King Kong.
At least put him on the chair. Did he sit in the chair? I don't remember it. I watched it twice. He sits
I don't
in the
think he
chair.
does.
I don't think they do. I don't think they do.
What are you doing, Alex?
But where does this leave us in terms of, where can we go from here with the next movie?
Maybe that's a great thing to jump into final thoughts. It's predictions and
Mm.
final thoughts on where do we go from here. Godzilla's sleepy, and we got 2
I'm
dads
sleepy
and a sucko to deal with. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
My suck boy. Where's my suck boy?
I don't like this empire.
We're back here on Normies Like Us. We exited Hollow Earth. We flew our Monarch mobile. I cannot even imagine.
No, it's
what
a
that
heave.
thing's
It's a
called.
heave. Hollow Earth.
heave, yes.
Elect something
Guys.
vehicle.
I know that because
I'm
I watched
very mad at
Godzilla
both of you.
v Kong, and they say that a lot.
It's a
in that
heave,
movie.
mate.
Oh, okay, yeah. Real quick shout out to all the connections. I told you guys I tried to watch briefly the 3-body problem, right?
Oh right, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it has the one actress, Elza Gonzalez. She's the daughter
Oh,
of
the
the
bad guy
billionaire who's
from
like,
the
my
last
father gets what
movie.
he wants when they have to upload a rock.
Alright.
Because remember,
She
they upload a
dies
rock
in a
in
really
that movie.
funny way,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
basically they're escaping with the sample, and then Kong catches their heave, and then she's like, "Oh shit!" and then he smashes it in his
Yeah.
hand. That's a lot of fun.
And, that's great because we know as Helldivers, you never leave without the samples,
That's right. You gotta bring the super sample.
I love it.
She
guys.
failed the extract. But anyway,
That's
another
great.
connection. But where do we go from here? Yeah, Jacob, that's a good question because
Is it? Here's my response to that.
well, it's going to
What do you
happen, right?
mean?
It made money.
100%. It will be Adam Wingard, and he will do a whirlwind press tour where he talks about this is the culmination of his trilogy of
Yeah.
Verse X. I'm going to go ahead
Godzilla,
and throw it out here. Plus,
Sea Kong,
nope, it's going to be plus dog. It's going to be Godzilla plus Kong.
plus Kong, plus
and it will be
Max.
Colin,
Sucko.
the Empire plus Sucko, plus
I
who
want
else
that
can
to
we
be in
get
the
here?
name.
Yes.
Plus
I'm-
Mothra, plus
here's what-
Shimu,
I
plus
would
all the
assume
other
it's called
apes.
something like Monarch's Fall or something. They will
Mm.
tie into the larger mythos. It will be, he's now said he wants it to be more Godzilla centric. He wants it to be a Godzilla villain. Mike, I would assume Space Godzilla is where you go next.
Yeah,
A
Ghidorah's
creature
done.
comes from outer space that, only Godzilla can fight for whatever reason. And
I have a
Jobbers
What
and
about-
Beals.
Yeah.
I have a question too.
Yes.
They had Ghidorah, King Ghidorah. Why
Mhm.
not bring in some other, famous kaiju's like Rodan? I guess Rodan was in it at one.
Rodan
point.
was in there.
Money, my funny bunny.
So I
Legendary
feel like
gets to control the ones that they make up. That's why we're fighting Squidhead in this one. That's why we're fighting,
Right.
fucking the Scar King and Shumo.
oh my gosh, yeah, that's true. So I think if I was to do this, because I think they Spider-Man 3'd King of the Monsters, because they really blew their load with bringing Ghidorah in that early, and Rodan and
That
Mothra.
was too many, dog.
In the
Yes.
second movie,
They need to
guys,
resurrect Ghidorah somehow.
well, they have Mecha Ghidorah, but we've already done Mecha Godzilla, which both things can be true. But I think if I was doing this, now that we're so entrenched in the Hollow Earth and all that, you can do a Biollante, where it's like
Yeah.
nature
Yep, I
itself,
like
a
that.
giant plant, because that's a really cool villain that no one's really familiar with.
My pitch
Oh,
earlier,
sure.
Mike, about the Earth needs to fight back. If you're like the planet needs to create a kaiju to kill these kaiju. I think Biolante's a great pick.
It has to defend itself against its own, it created the defense mechanism, but it's too much. We need to override it, so it'll create Biollante.
They need to bring back Charles Dance, bring back the eco-terrorists, and
No.
they are trying to create Biollante or something because it's the Earth defending itself.
But I don't know how far you go, because I think the Hollow Earth, while interesting, they kind of shoot themselves in the foot because everything has to kind of end up there. Like we have to have crystals in a cave now. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
torn between
Again,
if I
that's
like
why
it or
I'm saying
hate it.
space. And here,
Yeah.
why I'm rolling my eyes when you guys say like, "What's next? What's next?" It's to me, it's just the action figure problem of it's like, what do you mean? What's fucking next? He's gonna go against whatever the new colored. We released King Ghidorah, but it's camo version 2 edition. It has gold
Yeah.
plating. It's the action figure toy. To anybody who says, "Well, Colin, you watch those Marvel movies. The ultimate toyetic, like every one of those movies is this person versus
Mhm.
this person." Yes, I agree. That is what
Yeah.
they have turned into. I don't like that either. It has become this, horrid continuous storytelling of, well, you'll come see the Thunderbolts because it has Scott in it, and Scott's your favorite character.
Well,
and
it's
we
got a
brought back Ghost, and you're
US
like, oh,
agent
Yeah,
from
shut up.
Monarch.
right.
Yeah, from
Wyatt
Monarch.
Russell.
Yeah,
And
he's a US
I don't
agent
know
in
how to
that
fix
show
that
too.
problem. I'm not saying invest
that's
in
what-
some. Again, I'm not saying these have to be Academy Award winning films.
No,
And that's what surprises me so much about the success of this movie is that like people are so fatigued by MCU, by comic book movies, but they're willing to go see these kaiju movies. How soon before they get fatigued over the kaijus when you have these mid-ass movies like this instead of -1?
It's
Again-
a greater sociological point, but I truly think with the obsession of how everyone ran to Oppenheimer and IMAX, and yes, Christopher Nolan, people go to Christopher Nolan movies,
Mhm.
but I think with the constant wars we're in, how bad it is, I think we all have an apocalypse fetish where every single person who exists is like, I'm going to exist in the timeline where the planet ends. So I better see, you know, this thing where the planet ends, you know, because that's what it's going to be like.
Right.
Yeah, interesting.
I think, Oppenheimer was a huge success last year, and that was such a weird movie to do so well because it's like
Very
a serious
singular.
Oscar movie. It also
Yeah.
had the Barbie bump, I think, the Barbenheimer bump of like, let's
Mhm.
go see a Barbie and Oppenheimer in the same weekend or whatever.
Pop
So it got a
culture
lot
phenomenon
of
that this hasn't had, and yet has the same appeal and word of mouth. Like that's the weird thing. Like Dune is a phenomenon. I get on the internet, I go to comment sections, things
Yeah.
that aren't Dune posts have people saying like, well, that's like the Shul Hadid, or like, hey, that's like, you know, where nobody
Yeah.
is jumping in these things going like, that's like Succo. Like nobody gives a shit. I mean, like it's so
Right.
different. And yet apparently it's not. I bet if you go to a fucking elementary school, kids are like, look at my fucking Godzilla tomahawk. I'm like Kong. Rawr!
Well, I think this
Right.
will have, it has less of a cultural impact, but I think Dune Part 2 is like the Oppenheimer. This is more like the Barbie, even though Barbie had more of a cultural impact last year.
This is the Barbie. It's pink. Yeah.
Yeah. I think,
It's
but
pink.
really, I think this is more similar to an MCU movie, but it's people just aren't as fatigued about kaijus yet.
Yet.
But I think it'll have more
Right.
of a sharp fall off after the first
I
couple
think they're
weeks.
setting themselves up for failure on the next one, maybe if they keep
Yeah.
going bigger and bigger.
It's the pirates, right? We're just going to keep doing it, right?
Right.
Action ensues.
But they
yeah.
need to introduce some other characters because we've seen a lot of Kong and Zilla now. We need some other.
But as
more
far as
interesting
threats that are as equal to
Either
like
make up
what
some
we've
original
seen.
ones.
But it's
you know?
going to be
Nah.
the Young Avengers. They're all going to have kids now. Like, it's so
Right.
crazy. That's what
Godzuki, you
they
wanted
are
it.
leaning
Be careful
into.
what you wish for.
Succo,
It's
Skronkus,
going to happen.
my little favorite
Succo and
guy.
Godzuki.
And Godzuki and
Yeah.
Skronkus.
And do you like
Yeah.
the Skronkus? He's like a brown, like an orangutan or something. He's different
Yeah.
than.
I would
than
assume he's
the
a
other
different type
apes.
of simian. Yeah, he's like
Some of them were like chimpanzee coded.
Yeah. Again, this is just
so
making me excited for our
Guys, I'm
series.
so excited.
Mean
Well, this is
monkeys,
my other
that's true.
question.
Yes. Yeah.
The new I think it's Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, the new one.
Yes.
I don't know. They
These
all
are
have a
good
different.
movies.
Is
That's
this
King
gonna get
Caesar. He's not
But
the
is the-
emperor. That's Kong.
is the new one that's coming out in like a month? Is that going to get a bump from this movie of people being like, all right, more apes, more giant apes and shit. Let's go.
I don't
Kingdoms,
know.
empires.
The ad campaign for that one's been so weird because I feel like those trailers are so cryptic and not very explanatory about what
Yeah.
that film's about. That it's
Well, it's a huge
new
time jump.
take, that
Yeah.
it's not connected to those other films.
It's
I have heard
connected,
other
but
people
it's
say,
like
but Jacob,
it's
I have
the
had
same universe,
family
but it's a
members-
huge time jump. Yeah.
But I've
It's
had
like
family members
hundreds
who
of
have
years.
watched those trailers and been like, "I'm super excited for Andy Serkis to come back
Can't
to
wait to
those
see
movies." Where I'm
Caesar
like,
again. Yeah.
guys, they're not. It's not. I'm kind
it
of
looks-
worried about how that film's gonna do. Actually, I don't know.
I think it might do well. I'm excited to talk about our series because I do think these new ape movies, they're basically an extended prequel to get us to the point where apes are the civilization, which is where this one is starting. Like that was all those first 3 movies were all a preamble to the actual Planet of the Apes, which is like what this movie is.
Yeah, and then there's again when we get into the series, we kind of see a similar thing played out, but not in a linear fashion. Like we see some of those ideas explored, like in later sequels from the 70s.
James
Yeah.
doesn't realize he's gonna get 6 prequels to the Planet of the
God.
Apes, and
Yeah,
that's what
he's-
I'm fucking excited about.
But this one, but the trailers
Yeah.
of this one, it's like, humans
Yes.
are like the savages now. You know, apes are the civilization. They're catching wild humans and stuff. Like that's all fucking original Planet of the Apes type shit.
Yeah, that's the Tim Burton
sure.
original. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the Tim Burton original.
But
That's
that's
the only
status
one,
quo. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we're
So
getting
they
there. We
needed
did
that
have the
time
apes.
jump. But so I'm excited for it. I don't know how well it'll do, but maybe it'll get that
Should
Kong
we
bump.
learn gorilla sign language?
So we can do
Why Cookie
Congo.
Rocket.
bad. Gorilla. I'm gonna do.
You know that's why I named my cat that.
That's right.
Nice.
I
My
can't
other
wait.
cat,
Those
Rocket.
movies. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Yeah. It is funny that there was so much Kong in this, and it was just basically under the Planet of the Apes, soft
Yeah.
launch.
I think it's offensive that they put Godzilla's name first in both these movies.
I was thinking about that too. He gets top
They're
billing.
very Kong centric, like we've been saying. The question is, should we do an episode in the future on the Peter Jackson Kong movie? at
I
some
would
point?
Yes.
really like to rewatch.
Is that
I
our
think
special
let's
edition at the
put
end of
that on
Monkey?
the books.
That could
That's
be.
interesting.
Oh.
That's interesting. I'm trying to think
Oh.
about what other. Maybe Dunstan checks in. What other?
Congo.
What other
Mean monkeys. They're really
Yeah,
mean
of
in
course.
Congo.
Yeah, the real.
There's some mean monkeys in this one.
Michael Crichton.
Yeah, there are.
Scargiver.
This
is
movie
pretty mean.
reminded me a lot of Congo. Now that
Scargiver.
you're saying it, Mike. This is a very Congo-coded bad film.
Yeah. There's a
But do you
laser beam
guys-
being shot. That's Godzilla is the laser.
Do I like
though.
monkeys in movies, Jacob? Not particularly.
Well, I was gonna say for like final thoughts and stuff. Do you think this is a better or worse movie than Godzilla versus Kong? Not Mike's special cut, but the
Right.
actual theatrical cut.
I think this is better. I think
Yeah,
the other one,
me
like you
too.
said, is so weirdly paced and so bad. And God bless. Did you guys watch Damsel? That Millie Bobby
No.
Brown new movie
No.
on Netflix?
The
I don't
reviews
think
were
she's
not
a very good
favorable.
actor. And I
Oh,
liked
you
her in
don't?
Stranger Things when she was like a little child doing the
Yeah.
very one note 11 performance.
just
I thought she was good
stare.
as 11.
I like the moments, Jacob, in
Yeah.
Godzilla versus Kong, where she raises her hand and has a nosebleed. I agree with you. I think she's
Yeah.
very good at doing that.
But when she came in season 1, I was like, okay, she's really good at playing this role, but she can't really do anything else.
The role that has no character in season 1, that does nothing. She doesn't speak. She doesn't. There's.
No,
she's
I
a
guess-
blank slate completely.
But I like
Yes,
her in the
she
later
was good
seasons
at that.
too.
Yeah.
It's just she's not. I don't think she's going to translate and become like a major star or anything. She's not going like the Zendaya route. But
I would start doing some acting classes now if you have not already, girl.
I don't know if she wants to be like. She might just retire. She's marrying like Bon Jovi's son.
Oh, okay.
She might just retire from
Bon
acting.
Jovi's son wants to be an actor. Like I think it's this
Sure.
whole thing. I think when you're that young,
Bon Jovi
you don't
Jr..
realize how long your life is. Like it all runs out eventually. Don't stop now. Like
She's about to
Jesus
become
Yeah.
Millie Bobby Brown Bon Jovi.
Oh,
Damn.
Jacob, I don't know.
I
I don't
hope she goes
appreciate
by
you
that
saying
name professionally.
He's got all the credits.
His real name
we
is
pay per
Bon
letter.
Bon Jovi. It's all combined
Yeah,
together.
Bon Jovi.
So
Ah.
that's what it would be. Bon Jovi.
My favorite JoJo's villain.
Bon
So
Jovi.
Bon
This has
Jovi.
been a really fun episode.
It is. It is. We're getting down to it. I think
Barely
I like
talked
the
about the
action
movies.
better. Yeah. The action is better in Kong, or Godzilla versus Kong. The first fight between them, when Kong gets defeated and Godzilla's like, yeah, that's what I thought is better. And I prefer the
ships.
Mechagodzilla fight.
Yeah,
And the ship
ocean-
fight. Ship fighting on the
Yeah.
boat.
There's more memorable fight scenes in the first one, but I do
But
think
I-
There's memorable
the pacing
frames
is
in
so
that.
weird. Yeah,
But that slash film thing just said like you're gonna want to pay for IMAX for the pyramid fight alone.
Mm.
What is
Is
what-
that better than
that
Hong
stands
Kong?
out?
No.
Is that better?
I don't
than
think
the
so. There was
Battleship
one.
fight?
There's
I mean, I
one
like
shot that I did like. It's very comic booky. You probably know what I'm talking about when it's the big splash page shot where it's like they're jumping
yes.
off the mounts.
They're
kind of-
both-
It's like Godzilla and Kong versus Shimu and
Yeah,
Scar.
yeah.
It's very,
That's one decent image. Yeah, and them
Yeah,
running
That's one of the
together.
posters. They turned that
Right.
into a poster. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Sure.
I-
It's,
that,
it's the
that-
Avengers thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
I'm just so I'm just having that nighttime fight in Hong Kong was the smartest thing anyone could have done with like this tone of a movie because of the neon. Like I don't know, I just think that's like visually one of the most interesting things you could have done with
Yeah.
CG monkey and lizard. So if I'm here for the action, because that's what I'm here for, I could give two fucks about the other plot. The action's better in Godzilla versus Kong.
But again,
so that's
every
where I
time
land.
it cuts from this super cool fight scene to more running around a facility and whiskey suicide and all this stuff.
Yes.
It's like the movie just dies every time it cuts away. It's like, no, go back to Godzilla and Kong. Like I don't want to
But
see these.
the
people.
Again, I've
fucking-
never seen that version again, but that's me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jacob, you're talking to.
It was
You gotta
painful.
check it
It was
out.
so painful. I
But
can't
I-
like it's It feels
Trust
so
me.
committee driven of like, we need these characters to explain what's going on with Mechagodzilla. It's like, no, you fucking don't. Just cut them out. Like, why are they
Yeah,
there?
I let me once you feel like you've healed a
I
little
did.
bit, give it a watch, my friend. I'm just telling you, it's going to help you grieve a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I will weigh that versus in this film the special effects of when Kong gets his tooth removed and it cuts to a face up of him where Jacob, I don't even think they did the special effects to CGI like his face moving. I think they used face warp technology like when Conan would make like Arnold Schwarzenegger's mouth talk out of a photo. Like it just seems like it like moves like for a minute. Like it's this movie looks cheap a
Or
lot
did
of
you
the
like
time.
when he goes down to Scar, King Scar, and like one of the first thing he does
King
is makes
Scar.
fun of his fake tooth. He's like, "Oh, you got a
Yes.
fake tooth, huh? That's pretty
I do like him
lame."
mean mugging him. That's fun.
Yeah,
Look at
dog.
this. Fight me?
Yeah, look
This
at this.
fucking guy.
Fight me? Fight me? Look at how
Look,
weird
no,
I
back
am.
up. I
I'm
got
like a
this.
long boy. This dude is more like
long
monkeys,
boy.
like like just like sort of like doing like big like like if there's like that like
Yeah.
like doing like battle stuff at each other like and just like crazy reactions.
That's what they
I
would
would've
do
been
in Planet of the Apes. They would have been getting hype about that fight. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they needed to hire Andy Serkis to like, I don't know who was
Terry
modeling
Notary,
these apes.
Terry Notary, the guy who plays like all the animals, the dog in
Yeah.
that fucking Harrison Ford monstrosity,
gosh,
whatever
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah,
called.
Call of the Wild.
Thank you.
Well,
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me say this to be kind to this film and these films that we're talking about. Like, I would rather watch both of these than any of the remade Jurassic Parks. Like any three of those,
Yes.
I would
yes.
watch either of these instead of that. So
Agreed.
you know,
And you know,
Agreed.
Jacob,
We're
you just
nitpicking,
made
but-
me think.
yeah.
If Adam Wingard loved this series as much as he does, he would do a press tour that is not the human element. He would be like, this is the motion actor I got to play Kong and Godzilla, and they are the best of the best. Let me describe our process. But
Yeah.
we don't. They're totally anonymous. We have no idea who fucking plays these things.
Nobody's
Kong
playing
Skull
anybody.
Island, it's fucking Doctor Doom. It's the fucking
Right.
what's his name?
Yeah. I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name.
This
I
feels
can't remember.
completely
He's the British
wireframe. I
one.
can't imagine anybody doing performance capture for this
No,
in
this
any
is,
scene.
Mike, this is 100%
Maybe when
all
they're running.
CGI. Jacob.
No.
Well, that's the thing is like
There's no way. There's
Andy
That's
no
a problem.
way.
Serkis was such a big part of like
Yes.
the Peter Jackson one. They really for the marketing, like, you don't understand. Andy Serkis, he was Gollum. Remember Gollum? He gives a crazy performance. He's King Kong. And then again with the Apes movies, they're like, we got Andy Serkis. He's doing
We got
Caesar.
the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what's missing here, because if you're doing Godzilla, like Wingard, please hear me out. Like, you want to bring this thing home, do motion capture, because the closest thing you can do to do a suitmation analog. And like, you could do something like get a guy that has done a Godzilla suit and have a cameo of some old like give him a cameo as a motion capture
Mike,
actor. Like, come on.
Here's a fucking stunt cast. We got Benedict Cumberbatch. He's doing Smog again. We paid him $1 million. He doesn't say a fucking line, but he's gonna do the intensity that is Godzilla's eyes. We put these little dots all over him. At one point, he was saying
man.
Bilbo Baggins. He like slipped it out. We were so
Yep.
excited. Like, that's a story. Like, that gets me to the fucking theater, man.
Yeah.
I have been wrestling in my mind because I rewatched Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, MGK. You know, I'm just trying to think, what's the best suit version, like where it looks like fidelity wise? What's the most like effective suitmation? Because I'm not sure it ever looks real, right? It's always kind of cheesy. But I'm like, to mix that, like honor the heritage. But yeah, you should be doing motion capture for all these. You can't just hand it to the CG artist. That's disingenuous. Build a rectangle out of frickin', you know, speed rail or whatever on your green screen and have them climb on it or whatever. Like, do that at least to honor the crafts, you know. So, you know.
Yeah.
Have a fucking guy bent over holding a fucking axe,
Yeah. Wander across
pretending
the
to be
green
a
screen.
fucking monkey. Like, it's like that's a dream. People
Yeah.
love to do that shit.
Spin around with a tail thing attached to your back and like hit a
Yes.
fake building. Just do that. It'd be tangible too.
This is the one compliment I'll give to the video game industry, that sometimes I don't think the movie industry learns enough from them. You know what I mean? Like, that they hire actual motion capture performance artists to typically
Yeah.
do most stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that
Oh,
is,
yeah.
you know, obviously video game industry, not good at all, but that is the one compliment I'll throw them.
And the
It
gra-
feels like
and-
there's a weight missing
Yeah.
to the animation here. Like they don't.
Yes.
Yeah, they're not grounded.
I agree.
Sorry.
Well,
Yeah, well, what are you gonna
What a
do?
rant
else is there to
find
talk
right
about,
at the
you
end
know?
of this episode. Yeah, sorry.
But like they're
listeners,
fun.
we-
Like people are going
Yeah.
to see them, and if you saw it, let us know
Yeah.
if you liked it. I mean, people are having fun. We're nitpicking it, and I'm overly critical, whatever. But if you're enjoying
That's
this,
the
and
wild thing.
people clearly are, so whatever.
Somebody's
Yeah.
gonna write in and be like, Mike, why were you so worried about it? I liked when Skronkus threw the axe and it all blew up. It's like, yeah,
My
I
favorite
did too.
part-
You're right.
No, when Skronkus was used as a bludgeoning object, that was the highlight for me.
Skronkus is my favorite. I think you need to develop the relationship between Kong and Skronkus some more.
No, I
Skronkus
have-
cut. Release the
I like the
Skronkus
arc
cut.
that he had where he's like initially was
I'm your
trying to
daddy
trick
now.
Kong, and then
Mhm.
eventually Kong was like nice to him enough that he's like, okay, maybe this guy's not so bad. And now he's like his adoptive father or whatever. Like
Kong realizes like
yeah.
this guy's a shithead, but he's the only one who can lead me to these people, so I got to just put
This
up
has
with it.
bad influences because all these other apes are mean, so he
Yep.
thought he had to be mean, but he's just
Also-
in a better
Dad?
way.
Bush.
Those guys are really far away
I'm your
too.
dad.
What were they doing out there? They're just griefing people out, and they just roll out on
They're
the
walking
earth with their
around.
knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took them like 3 days
Yeah.
to get home. What are you
I
doing?
guess fighting those lion dogs too, probably,
Well,
right?
remember because the
For
the
what?
the Monarch facilities in Hollow Earth are getting destroyed by.
Oh, yeah, he
one of
did
these
go and do
Oh,
that.
I
Jacob.
forgot.
Yeah.
You are 100%
Congo.
right.
Which
Holy
they never
crap.
explain what they're
Yes,
doing,
it is
like why
Congo,
that's
but-
important or anything.
So
This
they're
big
roaming around.
diamond.
That at least makes sense. Okay, final pitch.
Wow.
Speaking of Strongo or whatever we're calling him, Sucko,
Skronkus.
Skronkus.
That
There's
should
a,
be his name.
yeah, I'm
my
down
opinion.
for that. But there's a Godzilla monster called Destroya I forgot about, and he kills Godzilla's son at one point. But substitute that
Destroya.
for Skronkus. Have Destroya,
It's like
and
a
that's
name,
the motivation. Yeah.
like a name George Lucas would come up with. This one's
Well,
called Destroya.
He's based on the
That's
Oxygen
Destroya.
Destroyer.
Yes,
Oh.
of course.
Yeah.
That's how we get you, Godzilla.
Yeah, but somehow Destroyer returned. Somehow Ghidorah returned. That's what we need, I think.
They fly now. These heaves fly now.
The plug is if you're
Uh,
young, look up YouTube videos of Primal Rage because it was a
Yeah.
dope, it was a cool video game, and I would imagine Adam Wingard, a couple years older than us, he probably played the shit out of this, but I would imagine some of his visual influences are like, this is a raptor that is holding a weapon, like that makes sense to me. So
It's like Chaos and Blizzard. Like it feels like Primal Rage when the two guys are fighting for sure. So
Well, for my final
Godzilla.
thoughts, I'll just say, I thought this was a very mid movie, but it was fun to watch. It was entertaining. And so I kind of feel the way I feel about like mid MCU movies. Like I'm going to immediately forget everything about this movie, but I
Mhm.
enjoyed watching it in
Okay.
the moment.
Jacob,
Yeah.
another completely out of my brain. WB will just feed it to you out of the height of COVID, right?
Mhm.
What's better, this or Mortal Kombat?
Ooh.
no, this. I haven't
This,
thought about
probably.
Mortal Kombat.
Really?
ever.
I have to
did like
rewatch
Mortal
that
Kombat,
movie.
but I think
Yeah.
I'd rather watch that over this.
My
just
favorite
'cause it's at
character,
least
Cold
very
Combat.
Miata.
but at least I know that they're real and that I can like touch them. The
Fair,
Kano
fair.
guy,
Sure.
remember how much you liked him?
I think
have
I
to
would watch Mortal
rewatch that.
Kombat over this,
No,
but
you
not
don't.
over
You do
Godzilla
not
vs
have to
Kong.
rewatch that.
Well, I rewatched Godzilla versus Kong, and I think Mortal Kombat might be better than that.
Well, we're
so-
into Hiroyuki Sanada right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So
And Toronado, the Yabushiga actor is, like I said, is Raiden in that movie
You
as
did
well.
bring that up, yes. Yeah,
oh my
yeah.
gosh,
That's
everything
cool.
comes
You know what?
back.
Maybe we will rewatch that.
Yeah. What's that sequel? Godzilla Raiden's Again.
Yeah,
The
that's right.
second one ever made.
That's
Godzilla
right.
Raids Again. Yeah, well, let us know what
Um,
your favorite Godzilla is. If you like Godzilla, I don't know.
If you like
Yes.
Skronkus, who's your favorite?
Justice for
Team
Skronkus.
Skronkus,
like
of
the
course.
Scar King.
Yes.
You need to make a
Shumo. I'm a
petition.
Shumo stand.
I like
wear
that
a
scene where he
Shumo
uses
sweater.
Skronkus to hit the other apes. That
That's
was a lot of fun.
favorite.
It was the best. We'll never stop talking about it.
Oh man, that's one of the greatest
That'll be a
moments
pretty
in
good
cinema.
reaction gif. That might be the legacy of this film. Is
That
that
is it.
reaction gif?
Well, I showed
Of,
you
like,
that image of
When your weekend starts and you don't want it to.
yeah,
Yeah, manager
think
asked you to
just that
stay
s-
late. No.
just that picture of Skronkus. I'm going to use as a reaction image of.
Oh, when he's looking down at you, or
Yeah,
I'm doing
Oh,
He's
okay.
just a little guy. He's a big little guy because
He's a big little guy. He's not a little guy.
No, like
I wanted to see him in proportion to some humans to see how big he was because we only saw him against other big
That's
things.
so true. How do you not have a scene where they're like, "That's the baby one"?
Yeah, get Tyree.
the little
whatever.
girl should have
He's like a little
talked to him too.
cone.
Yeah.
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 Ah, jeez.
Oh, for final
Well-
thoughts, what do we think of little deaf girl and
You've said
her
final
adopted
thoughts.
mom?
5 times. I
You're
don't
right.
give a shit about that storyline. When she's crying at the end and she says to Trapper, I always told myself I'd do whatever I could that was best for her, but little did I know that would be giving her away. The one
Dog.
thing I can't do. Trapper's like, you're a good mom, mate. Mate, you're a good. Remember when you tried to date Trapper?
Colin,
Oh, Trapper.
I
right.
don't want to have to extend this, but you're right. Just I thought about that too, because when she talks to Gia, the mom, she's like, "Hey, like, if you want to stay, that's okay." And Gia's like, "The fuck? Like, I was gonna go home with you. Do you even want me?"
Know any of these
Yeah,
people?
she
What
just
do you
assumes that
mean?
she wants to stay in Hollow.
Yeah.
With anyone down here. This is horrifying.
I would
Just
have,
because you
yeah.
saw me running around with a little kite earlier, that means nothing to me. I'm playing
Yeah.
with these kids because I'm a kid.
The other thing
You're my mom. That's
I
You're my
horrible.
mom.
dude.
About
yeah, bad
Trapper.
mothering.
I like the character, but I do think it was funny. So
Trapper.
last movie we had Alexander Skarsgård as the
Dr. Lind.
who knew Rebecca Hall previously and maybe
They
had
dated.
a romantic thing with
Yes.
her.
Mm-hmm.
And then in this movie, Dan Stevens plays a guy that knew Rebecca Hall and maybe had a romantic thing with her in the past.
Yep.
It's just a different, handsome white guy.
So they
But I
do
think
say,
yeah.
they make the joke that she had 2 PhDs, and that's 2 pretty hot dudes in her past.
My.
that's right. She's not a doctor at all. She's just
Actually,
into these
have
2 hot dudes.
PhDs. I'm into these 2 pretty hot dudes. He says when he brings the bats in, he says, "Looks like it's mating season." Why does he say that?
Because I don't know, they're all
I think
riled
that's
up.
what he's using to attract them to follow the craft. That's
They
what I assume.
foreshadow that though, because when the craft first comes in, they're like, "Oh, there's some fucking predators out there." He's like, "No, mate, they're not predators. They're
The
these
mating.
other things. We got camouflage on our ship and
And I do, and that's like, oh yeah, how would you just fly around Hollow Earth without getting destroyed? It's like, oh, we've traveled with animals. Like some of the ecology
Well,
stuff is like you thought about it.
yeah.
Again, proportionally, they're like a mosquito, right? Like they're just like you, like they're just like you wouldn't be like.
Well, their
constantly,
ship is about
"Get
the
outta
size of
here."
those flying things.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
How about when the mosquito lands on his arm? He's like, "That's all right, mate. She needs that blood more than I do."
Yeah, buddy.
I guess we're saying
Jacob,
Trapper's a
stop
keeper.
extending this. You have
Loves
every
animals.
scene memorized. It's horrifying.
Okay, last
to
thing
me.
I need to mention.
This is your favorite
Yes,
movie.
What?
Mikhail, the guy that dies.
Mikhail.
Mikhail. That actor, because I just rewatched Matt Reeves' The Batman. He was the police chief in The Batman who dies at one point.
I don't even remember what character we're talking about. That is insane.
Mikhail.
The only security guy they
Eaten by a
brought.
tree.
I don't remember this character, guys. I don't even remember a scene where anyone dies in this. What are you talking?
He
He
says,
gets eaten
"Let's
by a
go this
tree."
way." Trapper says, "No, I think something's dangerous over there." He's like, "No, we're going this way. I'm in charge." And then immediately gets
There was
eaten
an
by a
entire
tree.
scene.
That's the
where I
Easter
had a
egg for
bunch of,
Bioland.
like, I had a bunch of trading cards out that I was sorting while I was watching this movie. Let me tell you guys, I had a podcast fucking playing on too. I had a good time
Sure.
not watching this movie.
Oh, you're missing out. But anyways, he was in The Batman. He played the police chief. So there you go.
Sure.
Final thought.
Uh-huh.
When I'm saving
Really
the
made
world,
an
I
impression on
send one security guard and a child and a podcaster.
They have
Yeah.
that walkout scene where they're all in suits, but Trapper's is still open so that you can see that he has his Hawaiian shirt on underneath.
Yes.
That he's like still the
That's part of his
cool one.
personality. Colin.
Yes.
He needs it.
God. And
I
the
bet if you
music.
did a woogie woogie woogie, like rocket
Yeah.
power, he probably would hit you with it. He's a
Oh,
cool guy.
this movie is very rocket power.
His fist is rocket powered, and
Oh God! All
Well-
right, stop! Don't
All
you
right.
dare! Say
I've got a
one
million other
more
things to talk
scene that
about.
We need to talk about. I will kill you. This is horrifying. I will leave you in Hollow Earth right now.
No, we have
Yeah.
to go. Goodbye,
have to go.
Skronkus.
Goodbye. We're leaving you down here, Jacob. You have to stay with your tribe of wizards.
Oh
Yeah.
no, I want to come with you.
No, I don't care.
You're my
You're
mom.
done.
I've been waiting for a
Um,
chance to offload you. Gia.
Yeah, I'm a bad mom. Notice my
Jeez.
haircut again.
Trying to hang out with Trapper, and you're cramping my style.
Snaps at that teacher. That teacher. Well, don't you understand? We're trying our hardest to, for her.
She is her
special
culture.
The
needs.
teacher's doing sign
She's the only
language
one of
just
her
for
left.
her. Yeah.
She's the only one for tribe left. She snaps her. It's like, Rebecca Hall, you know not to scream at this teacher. That's horrible. Why would you do
They're
that?
doing their best, you know.
Because her daughter's in trouble, and I'll give you
Obviously.
anything you want if you help me.
Yes.
That's
God,
what she
I
said.
hated this. I
All
hated.
right,
I have a negative opinion now on every actor that is in this film. Where I'm like, Rebecca Hall, do you say all that gobbledygook Middle Earth nonsense because you believe it? Like, that's horrifying.
Yeah,
Stop.
she's got 2
Stop doing
PhDs,
that.
Colin, in
I don't
monster.
think anybody's
I
done
figured
2
out
of these.
true history is that they crawled up from here, and that's where we did too. All right.
It's it's a lot, but we love it. It's our favorite
It
movie.
breaks my brain the more we think about it. That's why we can't stop talking about
It's
it.
better than
So
Madam
if-
Web.
Boy, that's a question.
Oh,
Is
no.
this better than Madam Web? I would watch.
I
Madam
would say
Web again
so.
Over this, really?
No, you're
Wow.
crazy.
Wow. Okay.
I
Huh.
do
It
something
doesn't
want a
have a big
Pepsi
monkey.
though.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of that, so there's I have to
Tribes.
mention this. There's a very funny scene in this movie that you probably don't even know that where Rebecca Hall's talking to her daughter. They pan out and they get in their very prominently labeled Volkswagen.
Oh, the
car.
Volkswagen.
There are so many Volkswagens in this movie. I
Yeah.
apologize. Yeah. Go ahead.
hmm
No, that's it. It was just it looks like a car
Yeah.
commercial.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Volkswagens are very prominently featured multiple times in this film. It's horrible.
So product placement, we love it. Drink a
Yep.
Pepsi, drive a Volkswagen Nazi car.
Godzilla.
Yeah.
You know.
God.
Sheesh.
If this broke your brain too, please write in at normies_like_us, or like we said, just say, no, I liked Skronkus. Godzilla's my favorite. This was a Godzilla movie. You guys are being harsh. We will accept that. I also want
Absolutely.
you to write in what you thought of Captain Marvel, because if you think that movie was bad, but you liked this one, you won't
They're
be able
both,
to defend
yeah, they're on the
yourself.
same level. They're
These
on the
are
same
all
level.
4 out of 10s where I'm just like, that was a fine, turn your brain off movie.
Yeah.
Anyways, do that. Hit us up there. Rate, review, subscribe. Helps out the podcast a lot. Check us out at YouTube as well. Otherwise, we've been your hosts. This is God, Colinzilla.
I thought you were going, God damn it.
My brain's broken.
That's where I'm at.
And did you say your name?
Yeah, God damn it.
and this is Skronkus, my favorite character.
Little Skronkus.
And remember, apes together strong.
Ape shall never kill
wonder-
ape. Remember that, guys.
Why
Okay.
not just call him Lil Kong? Like, why not have
Lil
Mini
Kong.
Kong
be
is
like,
what-
We'll call him Kong. We'll call him Lil Kong.
Because he probably already had a name before he met Colin.
Well, it's Diddy Kong, but we can't say Diddy anymore.
Language. Kong doesn't have a name.
His name's Kong.
Guess it is.
He identifies with that name.
Just don't say King. It's not
or
for him.
Diddy or Donkey.
No.
Don't
Mini
say
Kong.
Diddy
Or
right now.
Cranky.
Do not say Diddy right
No
now.
Diddy Kong.
Especially
He's off. I
Especially do
believe
not
he is
say
at
Diddy.
Skull Island.
Oh, damn.
Diddy Kong is canceled just by
He escaped.
in relation to Diddy.
By
gone.
proxy. Yeah, there's
Did
no
you hear
more.
Diddy
Just
Kong
kidding.
took a bunch of those young Skronkuses because he was trafficking them?
No, Diddy Kong, no.
They were hiding them in the rocks that they were moving? Jesus Christ. We gotta end this. We gotta end this.
Okay. Bye.
Take it easy.
By
Bye.